I got layered there for a sec. Oh, yeah, I forgot this is on. Okay. Um, how's everybody doing? I am echoing. I'm gonna turn that off. There we go. Made sure Twitch is actually on so I could see myself clearly. Okay. So, current events. Current events in the manga. Where do I even start? Well, for one, I should lower the music. Okay. So, where do we start? Where do we start? Trying to like think about this. Like where do we want to start with this? I guess this is a decent spot to start. Okay, so one thing I noticed around yesterday is this particular shot right here. This shot was really interesting to me because when you go to after this show, so look at how emotional she is here. Like look at how emotional Ruka is here. Like really emotional. You hear heart beating. Like there's a lot of feelings going on here. You go to after Kazuya comes out of the bathroom, and look at Ruka here. It's like a completely different person. She's like a completely different person. And I think this jarring approach is very much intentional. I think this element of it being super jarring, how like she literally almost did like a 180, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like this is like a different person, right? She went from this like really emotional, sweating, blushing face to face person to like this incredibly calm person to the point of like it being almost like uncomfortable, right? Like it's almost jarring how Ruka just kind of flipped a switch like that, right? She put a mask like she put her clothes. See, I don't think there's a mask here, weirdly enough. It's like here's a better way to put it. Here's a better way to put it. You're being presented the illusion of a mask, and it is cracking. The cracks are showing everywhere. This is like, oh, I know perfectly how to describe it. I know perfectly how to describe it. Um, it's that cracked mask meme on Twitter, or cracked mask art. Yeah, this thing, literally literally this thing. This is what you're seeing. This is pretty much what you're seeing. This is how I look at this. This is what this image feels like here. The mask is essentially cracked, right? The facade is seemingly gone, right? She's putting on the illusion of a facade, but who she is like is very clear as day to see now, right? Your illusion of who Ruka has been up until this point has seemingly shattered, right? You've had a very like particular perspective of Ruka up until this point, and now it's utterly fucking shattered. To me, I think what Reiji is doing is essentially kind of waking us the fuck up, because basically a huge portion of the series ever since like the Hawaiians arc has been us essentially, who are we kidding, if for a huge portion of the series itself, a lot of it is literally living in an illusion, right? You're literally living in an illusion. You're not living real life. And recently what Reiji's been slowly but surely doing is being like, hey, look at what's actually happening and not purely what the characters are saying or what the characters are doing, right? You got to see the full picture because you're only seeing half the picture. And I think nothing like further solidifies for me that Reiji is doing this is the fact that like literally his first. Let me find it. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Volume 5. Literally the first thing, the very first one editor or sorry, not editor thing, extra pages that Reiji ever did. This is literally the first extra pages that Reiji ever did. And I want you in particular to pay attention to the very last thing he says here. Right here. Modern society has been diluted by social media and the internet, but here's hoping that Rent-A-Girlfriend can lend a hand and show you all the courage and the importance behind building real human relationships. Okay. Through the internet, we've become very disconnected, right? We don't see things clearly. We're very disconnected from each other, and there's this like fundamental divide in how we interact with each other. You can see it in how people talk on Twitter, for instance, where when people talk on Twitter, they're not actually having a conversation. They're essentially just responding, right? They're just responding to you. They're not talking to you. Like you'll say something, they'll pick a part of what you're saying, and then just kind of dig into that part instead of just looking at your entire argument. And I think a lot of us fall into this trap, including myself. The issue is that this has become so common that it's almost present in relationships. So it becomes very hard, and it's also present in storytelling, like how people interact with storytelling. They'll pick out a certain part that validates their own perspective and opinion, and then they'll stick with that and then just double down on that hard. This is essentially what Reiji is doing here. He's leveraging this element where I genuinely believe a lot of people see the story in like a very particular lens, whether it be how they see Ruka, how they see Kazuya, or even gender norms. And he's literally leveraging that to challenge the raiders, but also the characters themselves. In particular, I wrote this little thing for Ruka here, where let me find it. Okay. Okay. I wrote something like this and I said something like this in a previous stream, but bear with me for just a little second. So just listen to this. Ruka got lucky. Because she knows Kazuya, he cares about her, he would never report this or try to do anything legal-wise. Heck, he would blame himself. And what do we see here, right? What do we see? Kazuya literally blaming himself, right? Oh, hey, it stopped doing the thing, thank God. I don't know if you guys can tell, when we were reading this chapter, the moment I clicked on another page, it would say page hidden. It stopped doing that. Thank God. It stopped doing that. I don't know why, but it did. Anyways, let's keep going. But if this was a stranger, or maybe even in the early parts of the relationship, this would have been quite bad. Right? So I'm referring to particular what Ruka did to Kazuya, aka sexual assault. Right? It's just straight up sexual assault. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. If this was a stranger, if their gender roles were swapped, if this was like early in the relationship, if anyone else maybe saw this, especially possibly a girl who, like Chizuru, who's not stuck in traditional gender norms, they would see this as wrong. Period. Right? So Ruka does not see her own privilege, right? Ruka simply does not see her own privilege. This is important. Why? Because Kazuya also doesn't see his own privilege. There are aspects of that Kazuya is not like Ruka, right? Reiji intentionally creates a contrast, in particular with the shed incident. But there's this element of the characters not seeing themselves and their privilege and what they have and what they're getting away with because of certain parts of their lives, because of certain parts of their environment. So let me keep going. If they swap genders, it would be bad. This, to me, is an incredibly sobering reality for both Kazuya and Ruka. For Kazuya, it is what happens when he does not take initiative, when he lets a problem build until it is out of his control, and he can no longer make a choice, and that choice is made for him. For Ruka, it is the consequence of her actions, something fundamental to transitioning from childhood to adulthood, that you don't just get away with this stuff for free, and how incredibly lucky you are that you did when you were a kid. This privilege gets you things, but also how but this privilege gets you things, yes, but it also shows how in abusing those privileges you impact those who do not have it. So this to me is what Reiki is like highlighting with Ruka, and what I believe he's building to here is Ruka essentially truly seeing what she actually did and how lucky she's actually been this entire fucking time. In that same way, Kazuya is also getting that awakening moment and how lucky he's been in this entire fucking time. Because what do we see with Chizuru in contrast, right? Chizuru is aware how lucky she is and how much privilege she's getting in terms of certain situations. And yet, if you look at it, she's not nearly as privileged as these two characters, or even Mami, or even Sumi. All of those characters essentially kind of just get away with certain things, including Minnie, of course. And I'm not saying like all of it is at the scale of what Ruka did. The point that Reiji is highlighting, in my opinion, is how these characters are need to like learn what they have, how they're abusing it in order to actually start appreciating those around them. Because look, you can, for example, love someone without loving yourself, because it's so much easier to like a different person than to like you, right? You could appreciate someone who works hard, who tries hard, but you can't really have a relationship with that person in earnest because you don't appreciate yourself, so you don't appreciate what they appreciate in you, right? You can have a relationship. It's just not going to be like, it's just not going to work out how you imagine. And I think Ruka and Kazuya's relationship is like kind of like hitting that breaking point. Like we've said this a few times, but in particular, like a complete abuse of privilege that one has. And how Ruka has completely abused this privilege that in many ways Kazuya has given her. Almost like when a parent gives a child their privilege. And someone, what was it? Gyro over here said something kind of interesting that I very much connect to. The thumbnail that I made is like Ruka changing from a teenager to an adult. Let's dig into that a little bit deeper. It's like you're literally seeing her age, right? She's really far away. She seems really small. She gets a little bigger, like a teenager, and then suddenly she feels like an adult, right? Her size grows with the size of the screens, and in turn, her age literally changes in front of your eyes. Suddenly, this little small kid who's not intimidating gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and suddenly they feel larger than you, right? They suddenly you're not as tough as this kid who you're supposed to be older than, right? They have so much more control and advantage than you. It makes Ruka like come off as really scary. Like I think I wrote another thing for this, right? Let's see. Right here. Okay. She kind of looks pregnant. I don't think you know how a shirt works. That's a weird fucking take, bruh. That's a weird fucking take. I don't see it. It's literally just just the size of her boobs, and because her shirt is not tucked in, it looks bigger than it is. Right? Like we can. Like, I'm pretty sure this is her shirt. This is not Kazuya's shirt. This is her own shirt. Right? It reaches about the same exact length. The difference is tucked in. But this is her shirt, right? You can see the sleeves are rolled up. You can see the shirt is tucked in. It's that particular size because she has a big chest. In contrast, what do you see here? The shirt is not neat, not tucked in. It's not rolled up properly. It's not smoothed out. The edges are not clean anymore, right? Reggie shows you how it doesn't look smooth anymore. The whole point of what you're seeing is like the image isn't clean anymore. Ruka does not look clean anymore. There's no sense of the image is cracking. Literally, what I showed you before. The image is literally cracking. The shirt is not tucked in. The shirt is not rolled up. The shirt is not properly buttoned up. She doesn't have her ribbon. Literally, a huge aspect of Ruka's character is essentially missing here. The fluff, the prettiness, how Ruka has appeared up until this point, essentially all of it is seemingly gone. You're getting this like unfiltered, unfeathered person who doesn't even look like themselves anymore. This doesn't look like Ruka. It's scary, and I'm gonna read you a part that explains why Ruka comes off as so jarring here. Ruka wears a white shirt here, giving you the inclination of safety. It also nods to the day after kind of scenes you see where, after sex happens, the girl wears a shirt on top to just she wears the guy's shirt, right? Usually the girl wears the guy's shirt. Ruka's wearing her own shirt here. To top it off, you can see the swimsuit underneath. This isn't the day after scene, it's the illusion of it. Let's see. But there's something wrong with this picture. You're intentionally shown the black strings of her swimsuit, contrasting the safety of the white exterior she presents. This is not safe. This is further highlighted in her expression and demeanor. Ruka's not smiling or even sad. She just looks disappointed, as if this was nothing like what she imagined in her head. Her illusion, as well as her own, has faded. We can see her more clearly now. She isn't smiles and bubbles like before, but clearly unhappy. We see the danger that lurks underneath now. The safety we felt before was just an illusion. The image has cracked and shown the real person underneath the smile. We can see her far more clearly than we did before. But just as our illusion is breaking, so too is hers. The lie she was living was nothing like she imagined. She thought she was happy. Earlier, she was even full of emotion, but now that emotion has died down. It almost feels like she has left. It almost feels like all she has left is apathy. Whereas Kazuya's emotions swell through the chapter and reach a high as he does as he goes to confront Ruka, she in contrast seems to be a hit. She in contrast seems to be hitting a massive low. Whereas Kazuya is physically drained, Ruka is emotionally drained. She has nothing left, like a robot who has nothing left but to keep doing what she has done this entire time, as if she's on autopilot. She feels devoid of emotion here, that it would be super easy to look at her here and see something evil. A person who's so empty that they don't even feel human, like they care about nothing but what they want. But this isn't Ruka. We know it isn't. That's why it's so scary. She's incredibly close to losing herself completely here. Now this is where a few other interesting details happen. So if you go back to Hawaiians, there's a few things that happen in Hawaiians that connect directly to this. Reiji directly calls back to Hawaiians and the decision Ruka made then. So Hawaiians is incredibly important to informing this choice. I wrote how let's see. I wrote here how chips. Yeah, I wrote here There's a dramatic irony in Ruka placing the proverbial noose around her neck, as she was the one who told Chizuru that she did this to herself when pushing Kazuya to date Ruka. Now Ruka gives in to her instincts to satisfy a base desire when all the chips are down. It's sad. When I dug into this a little more, my mind kind of got blown a little bit. There is so much more to simply that Ruka saying all this to Chizuru and then she does it herself. It digs so much deeper that you kind of are just left baffled by how Reiji kind of brought all of this full circle. Ruka's character, unfortunately, was inevitably going to end up here. This is unfortunately like a culmination of many fucking choices that ultimately ended up Ruka's character here. And this, to me, is literally the scene with Kazuya in chapter 399, where he looks in the mirror and he says, "Who are you?" This is the story right now. Kazuya changes his hair and doesn't recognize who he is. Ruka is at this point where you're essentially looking at her and you're like, who is this? It's scary, right? Like when you go back to the earlier series, Ruka has never outright felt like this. Ruka has never crossed a line, never gone so far to where you look at her and you're like, who the fuck is this? Like you it feels alien. Like, who the hell am I looking at? I don't know this person. It's scary. It's genuinely supposed to feel scary. And I think that's where Reiji is seemingly putting the characters and making you question if you even know them. He's put Ruka, this character people are so incredibly familiar with, and had her do something that a lot of people will excuse, right? A lot of people are excusing, and he's leveraging that, right? A lot of people are excusing Ruka, especially in Japan, and Reiji is 100% leveraging that. So in contrast, what does he do? He uses imagery. He uses imagery to make you very, very uncomfortable. Like, when you look at this, even the stupid grifters who just, like, literally the people I was describing earlier, where, like, the people who just read to react, not to actually interact and engage, look at this and view Ruka as in the wrong. They look at this and they're like, she looks evil. Even some Japanese readers are like, this is kind of weird, right? Yeah, of course, there's a lot of them are doubling down. A lot of them are doubling down. But Reiji is like intentionally being like, okay, fine. You won't listen to words. Take a better look. Here, I'll show you Ruka. Okay. And if you have your own bias, you'll stick to it. If you have your own bias, you'll stick to it. You won't change your mind. But you're going to feel a little like twinge of darkness underneath. Something just underneath is making you a little uncomfortable about this. Right? And then you see Kazuya, and you kind of, and like when you hear Kazuya's words, you kind of want to double down a little bit, right? When you hear Kazuya's words, when you hear how he's like, he does this thing right here, you kind of want to get angry at him. You don't want to get angry at Ruka. But that's the funny part. Reiji's intentionally leveraging that because right after Kazuya has this, he says, I'm so shit, I hate this part of myself. To me, Reiji's understanding of victims and abuse is actually incredible. And the thing is, this goes back to literally chapter 2, if not chapter 1. But we'll hold off on that. So, okay, Hawaiians. I dug into this a little deeper, so let me start pulling some stuff up to prove my point. How this all connects for Ruka's character. Okay. So, issue 1. The condom incident. The infamous condom incident. Right? So, Ruka tells Chizuru, Why didn't you say no? If it was me, I would have just said no. It's not allowed, right? I went to girlfriend running off on a trip together with her client, right? She tosses the condom and she tells Chizuru, we already did it. Right? Ruka here is saying, we already did it. She's treating sex like it's important. Right? We already did it. And she lies, says that it hurts, doesn't that get the point across? Kazuya probably just didn't know how to tell you. There's no room for you anymore. Huh. Interesting choice of words. Kazuya doesn't know how to tell you. What are we seeing here? Kazuya doesn't... What Ruka did to him, he doesn't know how to fucking tell Chizuru. It's like a fucking prophecy. None, your time is up. I heard you, back then. You did it. You steered him my way. I don't want to hear any regrets. It's too late for that. But here's the interesting part. This says to remember our first time. But what did Ruka just do? To remember our first time, and she threw it at Chizuru. Like her first time didn't matter to her. Did it? Right? Did it actually matter to you if you were just going to throw it at Chizuru like that? Which means, did that even happen? Suddenly, the current events make a little bit more sense. Does Ruka even care about that? Because she clearly doesn't give a modicum of a shit, right? Did she actually care about her first time if she was going to just throw it at Chizuru like that? It's either it didn't happen, or in some ways, dramatic irony. This is dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is when a character does something and they, or better yet, here's a good way. I'll give you a good example. It's when someone tells you that, for example, you're a loser, or you're not good enough, or this or that, only to realize they were never good enough. They were the loser all along, or something like that. That's dramatic irony. Or when they say they know better than this other character when they didn't know anything at all, right? That's dramatic irony. That's essentially Ruka. The same 4D chess stuff, Reiji, if that's the case. It's no. This isn't like planned from the start. This isn't planned from the start. This is Reiji being really, really fucking good at bringing everything full circle. He remembers every detail. He pays attention to the characters so much. He cares so much about what the characters are like that he knows that they will act like this. His understanding of his own characters is so fucking good that it will click back together even if he doesn't necessarily remember every single detail. And that in itself was shown right here. Right? The fact that Ruka pulled this shit. Now, there's a little more, right? Like, oh yeah, shocking. She used it to hurt Chizuru, and then she tells Kazuya later, I don't want to get in the way of your relationship, but if you have sex with him, you'd get in the way in the relationship, and she somewhere deep down knows this. Because this happened, and it clearly bothered Chizuru, and she knew. So, it raises the question, wait, does Ruka know that this would cause an issue? How much does Ruka actually know? How aware is she when she's doing this? Right? We've said Ruka has seemingly lost herself to lust here, but how much does she actually know? That's a little scary. And then when you see Ruka again, you realize you don't know how much she's thinking or what's going through her head. Was this like Ruka's last-ditch effort? Did she not give up? Right? Because it clearly bothered Chizuru before. Scary-looking Ruka knows. Cute-looking one doesn't. Yeah. Ruka puts on the act of cuteness, which gives you the inclination she doesn't know. But guess what? She knew a lot more than you thought she did. Even Kazuya admits it. Besides, I think she said that she suspected something was going on between me and Mizuhara. I'm pretty sure. Then what? Was she just pretending not to know anything the whole time? When we were on dates and even when we weren't? It must have shown the way I was acting. Like, on my face. Did she know the whole time? And this particular sequence raises a very powerful and important question to Kazuya. Are you content not knowing what she's thinking? Are you content not knowing that when you're with this person, you don't know what the fuck they're thinking and whether they're going to hurt you or not, or how much they know? Because guess what? Chizuru was clearly bothered by this in the past, and Ruka somewhere deep down should fucking know this, and yet she still wants to do this, right? It's either Ruka has complete, like, I think that basically the point what I'm seeing here is this. Ruka knows deep down this might happen, but she's ignoring it in favor of getting this thing that she desperately wants. But deep down, she knows, right? Somewhere deep down, she knows this is bullshit, or she is consciously doing this, right? She is unconsciously pursuing this love to destructive degrees, right? She knows deep down, and she's still choosing to pursue this, right? And I think that's what's fascinating. We don't know, and Reiji is leveraging the "you don't know" factor. He's using that to be like, you don't actually understand. Are you okay not knowing shit? Right? Are you okay not knowing shit? And that is literally what happened to Chizuru here. She didn't know. She didn't know. Now let's turn to Ruka. My heart's pounding. I wonder if this was too far. Maybe I made her mad. Ruka at the time, right? This was Ruka when she was a little younger. She was going a little too far, right? And she could kind of tell. This is why Ruka at the time, like, we could kind of excuse it. This is what I love that Reiji is doing now. If you go back to earlier parts of the series, you can hear Ruka's thoughts. You can kind of excuse it a little. You're like, okay, she's crossing the line a little bit, but she's still young and stupid. And you know, it's like maybe you could still resolve this. Maybe there's still a way out of this. Now, you get to a point where that's just not there. You don't hear thoughts like this. What Ruka does has no other interpretation, right? What Ruka does has no other fucking interpretation. It's not, she doesn't question it. She doesn't question her actions. That's what makes it scary. Ruka does not question her actions. Oh, no, I know what I want, and I'm sticking to it. That makes it scarier, because at least back then, it's clear she was in denial. Ruka here was in denial, right? This is just Ruka in fucking denial. Like, she knows, but she's doubling down. Ruka now is not in denial. This is in denial. It's a little scarier, right? We see her acting like she's in denial. She's presented like she's in denial. But she knew, right? She suspected the whole fucking time and just chose to look away. Is that simply denial or pretending like you're in denial? Because somewhere deep down you know. And just like somewhere deep down she knew something was going on with Chizuru, somewhere deep down she knows if Kazuya and her have sex, things might not work out with Chizuru. Do you see the problem? Somewhere deep down, she knows if this happens and Kazuya gives in, this will work. Suddenly, this one-sided drive that Ruka's doing here becomes this almost terrifying last-ditch effort. But even more so, it also reflects Ruka desperately wanting change. Ruka desperately wants change. She actually doesn't like what Kazuya and her have been doing. Deep down, she doesn't actually like this. She's not actually content with her and Kazuya's relationship. Deep down, she doesn't like it. But she also wants this particular change that she's imagined. So she tries to get it. She desperately tries to get it. And it just doesn't work. Right? It's this last-ditch effort that deep down she knew wouldn't work, but she had hoped, And she kept hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping, and then all she's left with is disappointment. Now, why is this disappointment so important? Okay. There's a particular shot I'm going to show you. And I want you to pay attention to the dialogue I'm about to read you very carefully. Okay. This is Chizuru after rejection 380. This is Kazuya after the rejection 380. I really thought the date was going well. I wonder what went wrong. Did I mess something up? I guess not being able to answer that question was pretty bad, huh? That was her research to understand the meaning of love after all. Not being able to give a clear answer about that really hurt, I guess. It's also possible that maybe she doesn't like me in that way. I still feel like the other questions went pretty well. It was 100%. It was 100%. Still, what should I do now? I don't know if that question like that has an answer. He texts Minnie. He tells her it didn't work out, sorry. He looks at all of his investment. He remembers the rejection. He sees all the other people around him happy. What did Ruka say? All my other classmates have already done it. He sees everyone around him who has this thing he can't have. And his identity disappears. Huh. In that moment, I felt like it hit me all at once. I wasn't thinking about what I should have done or what I was going to do from there. I was just disappointed that I wasn't able to get through to her. I felt like it would have been uncomfortable even if I had gone home and ended up alone with Mizuhara. I didn't think I could go to bed and get any sleep either. I decided to go off one step before Nakabara Station and I walked the rest of the way. Maybe that was a good thing. Huh. Disappointment. It hit me all at once. I wasn't thinking about what I should have done or what I was going to do from here. Huh. Shit, these are Ruka's inner thoughts, basically. Yeah. They are literally mirrors. You can understand. This is why. Remember when we were reading in 2 streams ago, when we were reading Varicus, and he said that these two scenes parallel? Remember when he said, like, how Chizuru rejected Kazuya mirrors the situation with Ruka? Yeah. Kazuya, throughout the entire date, was living in an illusion. He was off in his own la-la land. And he wasn't actually looking at and interacting with Chizuru. Heck, even when he says he loves her, he's not looking at her. When he's literally carrying her, he's not looking at her. Ruka, the entire time, is looking at Kazuya, but does she actually see him? Huh. Did she actually see Kazuya? How hurt he was as a byproduct of her actions? How much she actually hurt him in pursuing this love so desperately? Huh. Suddenly, it's all starting to click together, piece by piece. Right? Ruka says she doesn't want to hurt Chizuru, but is that really true? I mean, she gets to date him this entire time, knowing full well Chizuru would be seeing him behind the back. So she tries to one-up that in some way. Chizuru gives the impression of being sexually uninterested, but she suffers from her own trauma of not being like her mother. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this later. We already have that whole thing going on. I'm aware. What's up? I got here after getting my ankle twisted from yesterday. Yikes. Hope you're okay. Okay. So let's keep going a little bit. Go back to this real fast. Go back to this. Right. So right now, when the chips are all down and Here, actually, there's another scene I want to pull up. So I guess we'll read this really quick. Come on, Sarishna, no going soft now. Are you going to let Chizuru-san take Kazuya-kun away from you? We did it. I wonder if we really had, how would she feel? Of course, I've always known Kazuya-kun was in love with her, but I didn't worry about them getting close, because I felt like Chizuru-san would never be swayed. She always gave off that sort of impression. Huh. That's an interesting choice of dialogue, considering what's going on with Chizuru now? Very much lost in her emotions. Whereas Kazuya is the one not getting swayed. By Ruka in particular. Huh. Interesting choice of words. That's sure, right? Chizuru-san she never gave off the impression that would happen. But seeing her now, I think she just might go for it. That's the vibe she gives off if he confesses to her. But that's exactly why I have to do this. It's a necessary step. I've got to nail her down, be cruel, be merciless, cut her off, and keep her contained. Huh. Now, let's change that from Chizuru to Kazuya. That's exactly why I have to do this. It's a necessary step. I've got to nail him down, be cruel, be merciless, cut him off, and keep him contained. Here she is, having him cornered. He's literally to the back of a fucking corner. He runs off, and guess what happens? He doesn't leave. Right? What does she proceed to do? She gets on top of him. I've got to nail him down. Ruka-chan, be cruel, be merciless, don't stop, keep on going. Right? She seems like she's in control. And cut him off, right? Cut him off. Literally didn't let him talk. Cut him off. When he wants to do something, triple down on what you want to do. Right? Literally didn't let him keep talking. Finally, keep him contained. He's locked in the house. He can't leave. He's stuck there. And he has to deal with her. Literally kept him locked over here. It's literally supposed to be abusive. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. His grandma is staying the night, so he won't have the chance to confess today. Don't back down, Sarishna. The real fight has just begun. Okay. Let's go to the chapter after this one. Gotta keep something contained. Well, she fucking failed at that. She fucking failed at that. if you know what I mean. Failed at that one. Couldn't keep that one contained. So what happens in 188? Chizuru creates some distance. Kazi and Chizuru were getting close, and then Ruka does a hum, and Chizuru steps away. And Kazuya turns, he's like, what the fuck? Huh. Gee, I wonder. Huh. And then, as a bit of karmic justice to Ruka, Curry shows up. Oh, You're gonna pull this shit, huh? Oh, you're gonna force your way into this trip, huh? Okay. I'm gonna invite someone else to this trip who's your dark history. He's literally your dark history. He's the thing you put to the past, you ignored, you treated like shit. And he's gonna come back, and guess what? He's gonna fucking surprise you. He's not gonna be at all what you think he is. And rather, you're gonna feel like the asshole. Okay, so we're gonna skip a little bit now. I'm gonna go to chapter 201. Ruka and Chizuru are next to each other, and Chizuru gives her back the first time thing. And Ruka's like, I'm sorry, what? Why would you bring that? I don't have anywhere to put it. We're in public. Put that thing away. I'm not going to have another chance to give it to you. Not with everyone else around. Whether Chizuru was aware of what she was doing here or not is really interesting. Why? Because when Chizuru asks this question here, she's essentially putting Ruka in a precarious situation. Well, you said your first time was important to you. Here you go. Didn't you want it? Why did you just toss it at me like that? You don't need to return it. I gave that to you. Huh. Does that sound like someone who actually gave a shit about her first time? Huh. Sure, the lie's sure starting to fall apart, huh? The lie's sure starting to fall apart really quickly, huh? I can't deal with this thing for the whole trip. Well, I have no use for it. Then just throw it away like a normal person. Put it in the garbage can or whatever. Does this sound like a person who really gave a shit about her first time? Not that I know what people do with condom wrappers. You have friends? I always thought you were a loner. Yes, I have friends. Put it on and Tuesday your varies back. Well, whatever. Well then put it in the trash bag or something. Besides, it's a meaningful, isn't it, to remember our first time? You went and wrote that with a marker. That's supposed to be a very special day for a girl, right? Wouldn't you want that tucked away somewhere at home? It's your first time, right? Ruka perceives it as, oh, you must believe me, right? Ruka naively perceives it as, oh, you must believe me, right? Look at her smug expression. What? So you accepted it how close Kazuya and I have gotten. It's hardly unbelievable, but Chizuru's eyes are closed. She's fucking lying to her. You're a very cute girl. If you two are dating, it's perfectly natural outcome. Ruka, cheerily, happy, excited, right? But Chizuru's eyes are closed. She's playing her. She's like, okay, I'm checking if you're lying because your story's not adding up, right? Maybe Chizuru is like half lying, but her eyes being completely closed is usually like Reiji's like straight, hey, she's fucking lying here. You're so upfront about things. That's what I love about you. What's gone into you? Why are you hugging me? By the way, do you have any experience, Chizuru-san? Huh, this is where it gets interesting. Ruka starts asking Chizuru if she has any experience. What did Ruka say to Kazuya earlier? Is it here or in the next chapter? Let me see. I think it was like around here. All my friends have already done it. I won't tell you to take responsibility. But you know he will. Right? I won't tell you to do it, but you know he will. So her logic is bullshit. She's lying to herself. Okay. So she said, all my friends have already done it. Now, look at what Ruka does here. She pulls a Chizuru. She closes one eye and half lies. By the way, do you have any experience, Chizuru-san? I've been wondering for a while now. Huh. why are you suddenly interested? Because what's the truth here? Ruka's actually interested in what sex is like. That's what she's hiding here. She thinks Chizuru has experience. So she asks Chizuru, because Chizuru appears so mature, so adult, because Ruka wants to know what sex is like. Chizuru freaks out, says, "What? I figured how cute you are. You must have done it dozens of times with dozens of boyfriends up until now." "No, I haven't, but you're an adult now." Interesting choice of words. But you're an adult now. That's what adults do. She literally sounds like a child. She sounds like a stupid kid. So what if you're an adult? She thinks if you're an adult, you can have as much sex as you want with everybody. Okay, but not everyone's like that. Like just because, like, literally, it's like when you label someone. It's literally like when you label someone. Like, just because you happen to be an adult, you would do this, or just because you happen to be a girl, you will do this, which sounds just plain idiotic. But this connects exactly to where we are in the story right now. If you get serious, you could have any guy you wanted. You're telling me you've never fooled around with an actor. They've never made a move on you. I bet those hotties are all over you. I've heard they're all grown women have nights when they're in the mood. She's like, what the fuck? Right? And suddenly this entire sequence starts to make a lot of sense for Chizuru's character. She doesn't just like remember, what did Chizuru tell us about her mom? What did Chizuru tell us about her mom? She literally just fooled around a lot. What Ruka is describing here is antithetical to who Chizuru is. She's like, I literally don't want to be this. Like, this sickens me. I literally don't want to do this. Because my mom did this. I don't want, like, literally that shit. And Ruka doesn't see what she's saying to her. Reiji's insane that he brought this back full circle. Right? Everybody's different. Everybody's different. I hate to break it to you, but I never. And what kind of topic is this? Why should I even tell you? Chizuru closes her eyes. She was about to say, I never had sex. She's about to say, I never fucking did it. You know? But she's like, no. Gotta stop myself. Right? Eyes closed, pissed off, looking away. Why is Chizuru so pissed about this? Because of Chizuru's mom. She's pissed because suddenly Ruka's making her sound like her mom. And she fucking hates that. She's literally being compared to a person she fucking doesn't want to be like. And suddenly Chizuru starts feeling bad about her desires. This sequence has a whole lot of weight for Chizuru's character now. Because guess what? This sequence defined how Chizuru feels about her desires now. She literally distances herself from her desires because she's afraid she's like her mom. And she's just acting on lust. And lust is not a good place to start a relationship. It's a terrible fucking place to start a relationship. But that's the thing. Right now, that's not where the relationship is. The mistake Kazuya and Chizuru are making right now is quite simple. They think they're just starting their relationship right now. Their relationship has been going on this whole fucking time. So the lust they feel does not actually define their relationship. They are way past this point. So the lust they feel right now isn't actually defining their relationship. That's not accurate. In contrast, with Ruka, what she doesn't realize is lust has seemingly defined their relationship this entire fucking time. Ruka is quite literally what Chizuru does not want to be. And Chizuru doesn't know that. Which is very ironic because what does Ruka do? She compares her to her mom. And what is Ruka seemingly doing now? She's seemingly acting similar to her mom. Where she's giving into her desires and doing what she fucking wants without a care in the world. The way Reiji bring this all back. I see. The old Iron Lady act. I'll just tell Kazuya it's a maybe, whether you have an experience. It's just a joke. It's not your place to say that. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Ruka starts flexing like, hey, look, I did the deed. I'm so cool. Right? What does she say? Anyway, there, you can have it back. You really are conscientious, aren't you? But whatever the case, it seems like you believe me now, that's what matters. That should make it clear that what Kazuya and I have isn't just a trial anymore. Hey, you two, what are you guys doing? This is one of my favorite shots in the whole fucking manga. Get fucking cooked. Get fucking cooked, you absolute clown. Get fucking cooked, you absolute clown. But that's the thing. This is funny because she's a stupid kid and she doesn't know what she's doing. But you were getting little breadcrumbs. You've been getting little breadcrumbs. Right? This whole that entire sequence, yeah, she's a stupid kid. It's funny. But you were getting breadcrumbs that connect. You were getting slowly pieces and pieces, and you're like, hey, this is not going to be good in the future. Just warning you right now, this is not going to be good in the future. And I think the thing that Reiji is highlighting here, that I think he's seemingly building to, is that Chizuru thinks her love needs to be more like Ruka. In reality, I think what's going to happen is Ruka's going to realize her love needs to be more like Chizuru. Through Kazuya and Chizuru, Ruka's going to learn what real love is. Ironic, considering how did she start the relationship? She started the relationship with the basis that if this is how you treat a rental girlfriend, how would you treat a real girlfriend? Not realizing the way Kazuya is treating Chizuru is exactly like he would treat a real girlfriend. But guess where, and what does Ruka put herself in? A rental girlfriend position. And he doesn't treat her like Chizuru. Because she's not actually his girlfriend. And that's where Ruka is right now. She's not his real girlfriend. She never was. She was essentially a rental girlfriend. And he was never going to treat her the same. And she wanted him to treat her the same so desperately that she tried to ignore all of these things that she used as leverage in the past. And so when the chips are all down, she became the very thing she was criticizing about Chizuru. What did she call Chizuru here? She called her a goddamn slut. Ruka literally used these words on Chizuru. She straight up called her these things. And now what is Ruka seemingly doing? Giving in to her lust. Like, when the chips are down, do you see the fucking irony? She's not literally sleeping around. But it's sad that she would say these things to her and then literally act like this right afterwards. It's not just like she didn't just put the proverbial news. She's literally doesn't care about anything but having sex with this dude who doesn't fucking care for her. Like, god damn it. Like, do you see how sad this all is? Like, she's literally lost herself. I'm not trying to call Ruka that word. Like, I don't think it fits her. I'm just saying when the chips are down, when everything is like come crashing down, she chooses this. And she was saying all these horrible things to Chizuru earlier. To me, this feels like a karma. This feels like dramatic irony. This feels like karma. It's coming full circle. You know? So I wrote, in Hawaiians, Ruka calls Chizuru a slut, uses a condom to get Chizuru to back off by treating sex like it's a big milestone that would cement a relationship in stone. Yet here she is, disregarding all of that. And then Chizuru tells her that she should cherish her first time, and it's important. Ruka proceeds to ask her if she's ever had sex, clearly showing curiosity about the topic. Yet now, when all the chips are down, Ruka doesn't seemingly care about anything as long as she gets sex. How ironic that the girl who was calling Chizuru a slut, insulting her and trying to push her away using sex, now cares about nothing as long as she gets sex with this person, even if she ends up as a mistress. Like, yeah, Ruka when she caught in season 3 when she caught them at the bus station. Right? Every time Ruka saw them together in his place, she would literally say this to her. Every single time Ruka caught them together in his place, she would say that to her. And then literally never take any responsibility for that. Why? Because she's a cute anime girl and she's young and she's a teenager. So we won't blame her for that. Right? Chizuru's in the bad. But what did Chizuru do? What did Kazuya do? Neither of them blamed her. Imagine constantly being called these things people say to say to teenagers, to insult them, to bully them constantly. But what do they do instead? They treat her with kindness. Ruka does not appreciate how incredibly kind these two have been to her. Like, unbelievably fucking kind. Chizuru has taken Ruka's shit for years and still treated her with kindness. This is what Reiji's doing. He's essentially telling Ruka, look in the fucking mirror. Because you have been treating this person like garbage. And all they've done is show you kindness and respect. Literally, the reason Chizuru is doing this right now, right? What did Chizuru say her reasoning was for keeping everything a secret? She wanted to be able to explain to Ruka. She constantly thought about Ruka. Chizuru actively, consistently thought about how Ruka felt. Always. What is Ruka doing here? Not giving a shit about how Chizuru feels, or how Kazuya feels for that matter. How interesting. Right? All Chizuru has done is give a shit about how she feels. While Ruka doesn't give a modicum of a shit. Right? It like the irony is insane here. To be honest, I understand why Mini-chan would say that, but can I live up to his expectations? I don't really know how I feel about that. I can't make up my mind. Of course I want to go because I was asked by him, but does that make it love? What should I tell Ruka-chan? I don't think I'm completely innocent or anything, but will things really work out if I start dating him before I understand my feelings? Besides, what if this date doesn't go well? What if he loses feelings for me? We're literally, like, this is like over 50 this is like 60 chapters after they met up again. And she's still thinking about Ruka. In the date, she constantly mentions Ruka because she cares about her that much. And guess what? Ruka never even so much as mentions Chizuru. She doesn't want to think about Chizuru. She doesn't want to feel about how Chizuru feels. Because if she does, she has to contend with the fact that she's been an absolute asshole to her. But in ignoring Chizuru, she's also become an absolute asshole to Kazuya. In fact, she did something that, if she did to someone else, might treat her fucking horribly. But this is Kazuya, and he won't. That's how Ruka gets lucky here. Kazuya would never report this. Oh yeah, this is totally a fucking crime. Let's just get that out of the way. This is totally a fucking crime. And if the genders were swapped, she would be screwed. Not in the good way she was hoping. Like, actually go to court and shit. But she gets lucky. She's a girl. She's younger than him. He feels responsible. He's really kind and respectful. This is literally the kids shit. Like, this is literally when kids are young and stupid and they do terrible shit and they get away with it because they're kids. You know, you're not going to blame a kid. But Ruka doesn't get so lucky anymore. She's becoming an adult. She doesn't get to be lucky anymore. There are consequences to your actions. And you're going to see, Ruka is not going to get in trouble with the law or anything. She's not. But what Reiji's going to do, in my opinion, is Ruka's going to have to live with what she did. She's going to realize, she's going to see, and she's going to realize how lucky she's been, how much she's gotten away with. And she's going to hate herself. She's going to feel so much goddamn guilt, and she's going to have to fucking live with that. She's going to have to live with the guilt, like what she did here. Ruka is going to truly see what she did, and she's going to have to fucking live with that. And that, to me, is genuinely good writing. It's like the kind of writing you see with, like, when someone, like, you know, commits a crime, and after learning what they did and coming to terms with what they did, and they hate themselves and they cannot live with it, and they have to learn to live with what they did, right? They have to try to atone and be better. Ruka is essentially about to start what Kazuya started at the beginning of the series, right? Ruka is about to start what Kazuya started at the beginning of the series, where he saw how much of an asshole he was to Chizuru at the very start of the series, and he learned. He learned to be better. He learned and improved and became a better person. Again, I'm going to pull up what Reiji wrote at the very in volume 5 because it is incredibly relevant. Let's see here. You all know the main heroine, me, is an indecisive piece of trash. An example of how someone can be spoiled in every possible way, but seeing how even trash like that can be supported and not abandoned, isn't that wonderful? Really, with an oaf like me, you should just smile and say, "Oh, right, ha ha ha," and leave. But look at Chizuru. She yells at you like, "You're wrong. You can't do this." If that's not natural kindness, then what is? Through through that kindness, through challenging you to be better, through telling you be better, don't just be a piece of shit. You improve and you change. And that's the thing, Ruka has that capacity for change. Ruka needs to wake the fuck up. That's what Reiji's doing. This is literally the point of this entire arc. It's the wake the fuck up arc. This is what this is. It's the wake the fuck up arc. Well, yes, you can't change if you don't realize what you're doing. That's why the first step in therapy is literally awareness. You have to realize you have a problem. It's just there's an issue with that. Most people, when they tend to go to therapy, they get stuck at that part. They realize they have an issue, and they don't change it. They just keep telling themselves, I know it's an issue, and I'm not going to do anything about it. Right? And you keep telling them, and they'll keep just doubling down and not doing anything about it. That's why therapy can be fucking useless sometimes. That's why therapy can be fucking useless sometimes, because you'll just go to the therapist, talk about your problem, eat shit, rinse and repeat. Same thing, back and forth. To me, what Reiji's doing now is realizing what the actual problem is, so you can actually start making changes. Our understanding of the series is being utterly and totally shattered. What we thought we knew was completely wrong, and what we didn't know was not at all how we imagined it. Reiji is now slowly building to that idea, flipping our whole expectations of what we think we understand in our heads. That it's nothing like we think it is. All right. I also wrote some other stuff in a different chat that I'm going to read really quick. Ruka got away with what she did prior because she was young and Kazuya didn't set proper boundaries, or this excuse or that excuse. But now, no, Reiji all but frames her as the villain. Look at her. She actually looks almost evil here. Even dipshit grifters on Twitter think this is the case. It's so devoid of emotion after being insanely emotional that you can't help but feel uncomfortable. Let's see here. Right, and then I talk about, like, I've mentioned this before. Kazuya's birthday is also framed like assault. Right? Kazuya's birthday is also framed like assault. And, like, I'm sorry. He literally can't fucking do anything. Right? She just keeps kissing him. Kazuya does not move. He just sits there in shock. He blames himself and then later just views Ruka as a cute girl, even though it's all being driven by trauma about not lying. Right? So here's an interesting detail. I bet none of you thought about this. Kazuya wants to end the lies with his family. And he can't. Just as right here, he couldn't do anything. Then later, he wants to end the lies with Sayuri. And he can't. Because Chizuru asks him not to. And then Ruka calls a truce. And suddenly Kazuya feels incredibly powerless. powerless. Even his own powerlessness stems from this exact moment. Then suddenly, in Hawaiians, Ruka takes away his autonomy with kissing, tries to stop him from confessing by pushing Chizuru. Huh. It's almost like this moment is incredibly important for Kazuya. Because guess what? What started the movie arc? Kazuya feeling powerless. And then he goes to Sumi, who makes him feel like he's not powerless. Because what does Sumi do? She just listens to him. She understands him. She values his feelings. And she cries with him. She did what Chizuru was not able to do at the time because Chizuru was not in a good place. And neither was he. They were not in a position to help each other. Okay? But Kazuya was in a position to help someone else if someone could just see him and understand his feelings. And that's literally what Sumi did. She just listened and she cried with him. And essentially when Sumi cried with him, she told him, you can cry too. You were hurt too. Right? I'll show you the scene. It's actually, like, literally, what people don't understand, they think Reiji just played this off. A lot of people think Reiji just played this scene off. Dude, the movie arc exists because of this scene. The power, literally the drive of Kazuya's character exists because of this scene. Because this made him feel so incredibly powerless. And then with Chizuru, he felt very empowered. And then what did Ruka do right after? This is the thing people don't realize about Ruka. She doesn't hurt Chizuru as much as she hurts Kazuya. That's what people don't fucking realize. Ruka makes Kazuya feel powerless. Okay? And literally, this is the interesting part. Before Hawaiians start, Ruka kisses Kazuya and makes him feel powerless and tries to dissuade him from confessing to Chizuru. Kazuya tries to confess to Chizuru, she runs off. He interprets this as a bad thing, and then he has chapter 218, which is literally all about loss of autonomy. And then what does Chizuru say is the reasoning why she couldn't talk to Kazuya? Ruka. What is the reason the 3 months even happened? Ruka. We all think it's mommy. We literally all think it's mommy. Ruka created all of this. You think Ruka is not important at all. She makes mommy look like a fucking joke. Because what she did is terrifying. She has so much power because she has actually abused Kazuya. This is assault. It always has. And that's the thing. This is where I tell you something crazy. Sexual assault has been a part of this series from the very fucking beginning. In chapter 2, Kazuya is on top of Chizuru. And while Chizuru created that scenario, she did not give consent. And suddenly Kazuya wants to kiss her and do things. And then she kicks him off. Here's the interesting part. Later, if you watch the live action of Rent-A-Girlfriend, the live action of Rent-A-Girlfriend ends with Chizuru nearly being sexually assaulted, and Kazuya saves her. As a flip of the beginning of the series, where he almost did that. But she kicked him off. Sexual assault has been a massive core of this series. It's an uncomfortable topic, and not everybody looks at it or discusses it the same way, but it has literally been present from the very beginning of this series. And Reiji is showing you its long-term effects. Kazuya and Ruka's relationship is incredibly toxic. It is literally him constantly being sexually assaulted by her. It is literally her constantly forcing herself on him. And he doesn't view it as sexual assault because guess what? Society doesn't view this as sexual assault. But Reiji always treated it like sexual assault from the very beginning. Literally from the beginning. And guess what? Ruka has done this from the start. What is the first thing Ruka fucking did when she realized she likes Kazuya? She corners him in a private room while his friend is looking for him, and she asks him to hug her. And then she forces him to hug her while they're hiding from that friend. And she's not even looking at him. She was just busy getting what she wants. Then she blackmails him into a relationship, and when he disagrees and says, no, I don't want to, she cries until she gets what she wants. Like a kid. When Kazuya is looking at Chizuru and he's distracted and he's not paying attention to Ruka blindfolds him and takes him to a love hotel that locks when you go in. She literally locked him in a room and tried to get him to have sex with her because I'll actually have sex with you and she won't. Are you starting to see the problems? She then later tries to pull this shit again in his own home. And everyone thinks Kazuya is the one leading her on. You'll watch videos like Mother's Basement who'll say Kazuya is the one leading her on. When she's literally been doing this since fucking day one. She's been in control since day fucking one. And Reiji has not shied away from this. The fact that Reiji was willing to literally depict actual, like, sexual assault on a woman in Rent-A-Girlfriend, which is straight up got drugged and almost got sexually assaulted. And Reiji literally just, this was a real thing I was gonna draw. And I didn't because this is not how the story was going at the time, only to flip that and have Ruka sexually assault Kazuya. And you don't believe me that Reiji would not shy away from this topic? He literally depicts it with mommy. Not sexual assault, but abuse. Mommy's dad literally abuses her. And she literally thought if she got sex, she'd get out of the fucking relationship. She'd get out of her family relationship. She literally wanted to have a kid just so she would get out of her terrible, toxic family relationship. Reiji is delving into these very uncomfortable topics in ways that are not comfortable. And what I mean by that is that when artists and writers depict these things, what they'll do is they'll show them in mature, how I want it to be dealt with ways. This person is evil. This person is not evil. This is the victim. This is the abuser. What Reiji does is like, no, I'm going to call you the fuck out on what you think is right and what you think is wrong. And just to prove my point, the fact that Reiji said one of his biggest inspirations is Breaking Bad is incredibly fucking telling. Why? Because Breaking Bad literally does this exact fucking thing. It leverages your perspective on what you perceive to be a good person and a bad person, and then uses that to challenge you. Case in point, the scene where Walter, who at this point in the story is a fucking drug dealer, goes home, and Skylar, his wife, knows he's a fucking drug dealer and wants him out of the house. He goes home, picks up their baby, and then she calls the cops on him. And the cops only see a good dad taking care of their child and a crazy wife losing her shit. And most people actually look at the scene this way. Not that it's a toxic relationship that Skylar can't get out of because Walter is leveraging his perspective that he's a good dad. And many people look at it that way. How could she call, he's just being a good dad. So what if he's a drug dealer? So what if he literally sells meth and gets people killed? He's just being a good dad. It's not like Walter was literally offered a position that would not only pay for all of his cancer and deal with all of his fucking problems and literally get him an amazing position that would get him a fuckload of money and he'd be perfectly fine. But he turned it down because he's a prideful asshole. And he admits it at the end of the series. He was doing this all for himself. The thing that you're fucking being lied to about is that you think Walter was doing this in the first place because he had to. Rewatch the series after you finish it. Walter was always a piece of shit. He was. No. The only reason he did what he did is because he wanted to feel validated and powerful. Because guess what? The reason he did this is because Skylar made me, she took away my masculinity. I'm not tough and strong. I left this company and let these people take everything because I'm a prideful bitch. Every single thing Walter did was out of pride. And your perspective on who is the victim and who is the abuser is incredibly challenged in Breaking Bad. And that is very much present here. All Reggie did was flip that role. Because guess what? In American television, usually you root for the guy. But in Japanese anime and manga, you root for the cute waifu. Right? You root for the cute waifu. You root for the young girl to have her future and be happy. How many people have said, I want all the girls to be happy? But they don't ever say, I want Kazuya to be happy. They just say he's trash. They say, I keep reading despite him. Whereas Chizuru keeps doing it because of him. Reiji literally builds the series around this idea that you're doing this despite Kazuya. When in reality, all of this is because of him. Right? And he challenges your perspective on who is the abuser in this picture. Because the toxic relationship here is literally a byproduct of Ruka herself. She's literally creating the toxicity. It started from the very beginning. Kazuya did not want to be in this relationship. And I'm just going to quote what my therapist said to me a long time ago. I don't really go to therapy these days. I'm kind of okay emotionally. So I don't really go to therapy these days. But a long time ago, I went to therapy. I was talking to my therapist about a very a personal situation that was very uncomfortable. And he literally told me, when you're around toxic people, they make you toxic. That's just literally how it goes. When you're around a toxic person, they make you toxic. And guess what? It shows. Chizuru talks about love and being serious, and then Ruka gives in to her worst traits, and then Chizuru feels bad, so Chizuru pushes Kazuya to date Ruka because she feels bad for her. Making a mistake. And then what does Ruka do? She knew Chizuru felt bad and did this because she felt bad, so what does Ruka fucking do? She uses that. Later in the series, that entire scene is completely flipped now. Right? In chapter 184, 187, when Ruka says to Chizuru, I knew the whole time, suddenly, isn't that scene completely flipped? Oh, I knew you did that. Besides, I think she said that she suspected something was going on between me and Mizuhara. Then what? Was she just pretending not to know anything the whole time? Suddenly, those two scenes are very deeply connected, aren't they? Chapter 186 and 185, when Ruka assaults Kazuya by kissing him without his fucking consent, and then tells Chizuru, hey, I knew the whole time you pushed him towards me. Suddenly, that scene is flipped. Ruka is now literally sexually assaulting Kazuya. And she tells him, I kind of fucking knew the whole time. Huh. This seems familiar. This suddenly seems really fucking familiar. Twice. Your entire perspective on what's been going on with Ruka is completely flipped. Everything from the moment Ruka's relationship started to chapter 187, your entire perspective is flipped because you're like, wait, she knew the whole fucking time. that Chizuru did that and she didn't care and kept leveraging and saying all that stuff to her, even though Chizuru is the reason Ruka even had a relationship with Kazuya in the fucking first place. Chizuru is the reason Ruka even got a fucking chance. And what does Ruka do from literally chapter like 20 something to chapter 187? Give Chizuru shit. That whole time she's giving Chizuru shit. She's using Chizuru's goodwill against her. Constantly, the whole fucking time. She fucking knew. Reishi just flipped that again. Wait. This whole time, I thought Kazuya was being an asshole. And he was being unfair to Ruka. But she fucking knew. Is Kazuya the asshole or is Ruka the asshole? Because she knew. She was just pretending. She chose to look away. She literally chose to not see this thing that she knew all along. She chose to just look at Kazuya, be happy. She chose to see Kazuya how she wanted to see him, not as he actually was. Interesting. Twice, Reiji uses your perception of Ruka and challenges it, telling you, did you actually know her? Did you actually know this character? Or have you been merely looking at her how you wanted to see her? And then Kazuya steps out of the room and you see her again. Is this the same character you've been looking at the whole time? Are you sure? Have you actually been looking at Ruka carefully? Are you sure? Just a question. Are you sure about that? Are you sure this is who you think that it is? Are you sure you've understood Ruka up until now? Or have you not actually seen or understood this character nearly as well as you think? Because she's not as stupid as you think she is. This character is not as stupid as you think she is. Ruka is much, much smarter than she's letting on. Huh. Suddenly, this isn't what it looks like, is it? You are a creature of your environment. The funniest part of my parents still can't understand why I am the way I am sometimes. Well, yeah, you are, of course, a creature of your environment. I think there's also a theme of the internet fucking us over, like AI, porn, etc. I wrote about that too. I'll read it shortly. Let's see. Fate, do you see similarities between the characters Hina from Domestic Girlfriend and Ruka from Rent a Girlfriend regarding toxic relationships? I have not read Domestic Girlfriend, so I can't comment. I have not read Domestic Girlfriend, so I can't comment. I've heard a lot of, like, I've absorbed Domestic Girlfriend via mitosis, and I don't think that's fair to the series, because for all I know, Domestic Girlfriend could actually genuinely have amazing fucking writing. Like, it could be discussing like terrible fucking relationships for all I know. But I have not read it honestly, so I'm just not gonna comment on it. All I know is how Gigok has talked about it. I watched a little bit of the anime, and I recall it being like, oh, literally every relationship this dude has is toxic as fuck. That's literally all I saw. I'm just like, oh, literally every relationship this dude has is like toxic as fuck. That's what I was getting. That's literally all I was getting. I was just like, oh, okay, literally every single one. Like he likes his fucking teacher. He likes this girl who he had sex with in like episode 1 that turned out to be his like fucking stepsister. And then there's this girl in school who like wanted to have sex with him, and then everyone villainized her, but then the relationship is still toxic and weird. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm really like, I'm trying to be fair to that series, but it's so funny, like how I remember it. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it seems like every relationship this dude has is toxic as fuck. And the people like in those relationships do incredibly stupid things. Like, Hina was the teacher, right? Because I remember she had like a toxic relationship prior to him with another fucking teacher. Or some dude, or just some blonde dude with glasses. And I'm just like, okay, so it seems like the point to me is toxic relationships and the drama around that. It feels like you know, like Sopranos or something, but like, you know, with anime girls. That's kind of how I felt about it, at least. It's like toxic relationships, because I remember from the little I saw of Sopranos, it was like literally like, oh yeah, okay, everybody's a terrible fucking person. Everybody's like drugs, smoking, sex, all the terrible crap, you know, presenting themselves like a traditional family when they're fucking not. So that's at least that's how I perceive domestic girlfriend. Yes and no. Hina entered a relationship with a married man knowing he would never leave and hoped he would, and that man used it as emotional abuse for years till she broke down. Jesus! So that's what that was. Jesus! I don't think that's the same as Ruka. Because Ruka is the one in control. Kazuya is not in control. That's where you're wrong. Kazuya is not in control. If that's what it is, that's wrong. That's a codependent relationship. And in reality, the man is in control. This is not that. This is nothing like that. That's nothing like that. That's a character thinking she knows what she's doing, in a similar way that Ruka appears like she's the one who's bad here. Like, remember, I made a post about this where this person's like, "Oh, girl, don't say that. You should leave this loser." Not realizing, like, literally, that's the fucking point. The dialogue Ruka is using makes you feel like, no, don't be a mistress. He's using you. He's a loser. Hina is what you think Kazuya and Ruka's relationship is. Hina is what you think, or what people think Kazuya and Ruka's relationship is. When in reality, it's like if Hina was in control the whole fucking time. That would be a little bit more accurate. It's as if in reality Hina was in control the entire time. And the married man was being blackmailed into the relationship. Except Kazuya does not sleep with Ruka. He doesn't do any of these things. She's in fucking control. This is what this scene highlights here. Ruka is in control. Kazuya was never in control. It's like a rabbit letting a fox into his den, thinking it's a fellow rabbit. He thought he was in control. The fox was in control. That would be a little bit more accurate. Ruka is essentially a subversion of a toxic relationship, where you think Kazuya is the one doing this, and then if you get into it, actually deconstruct it, suddenly Ruka is the one in control, not Kazuya. Kazuya was never in control in this relationship. Ruka was. Ruka is incredibly scary for that reason. She is literally leveraging the fact that she's a cute anime girl, that she's young, that she's adorable, and that he's an older guy to make you think he's the one using her. And guess what? Go watch any anime video. Go watch any anime video about this series. They'll always say Kazuya is treating Ruka like a side piece. Like he'll pick her if Chizuru doesn't work out. And yet Chizuru has not worked out multiple times. And he never picked Ruka. It's almost like it's not Kazuya who's keeping this relationship going. It's Ruka. In fact, Kazuya tried to break up with her, and she wouldn't listen. He told her he doesn't love her, and she wouldn't listen. He told her he doesn't have feelings for her. He doesn't want to have sex with her. He doesn't want to kiss her, and she wouldn't listen. She just kept doing it. Which makes you question, wait, who's actually in control here? She is. What Reiji is doing here is putting Kazuya in a position where he must take control back with any means possible. He must make a cruel decision, because if he does not, it will be made for him. It doesn't matter if she's a cute young girl who will be traumatized or whatever. She's going to use you, and she's going to hurt you, and this will be worse, and it will hurt the people you love. It's that simple. It doesn't matter how bad you feel for her. You have to make this choice. Again, I mentioned this before. It's like Goku with Frieza. Goku got lucky with a lot of his villains, right? There were Piccolo, Vegeta, Tien. A lot of those characters, they eventually became good people, right? Now, Vegeta still committed fucking genocide, mind you. But they eventually became good people. Frieza, on the other hand, was not someone Goku could reason with, period. And he had to fucking kill him. Because this dude was going to be a fucking problem. It was this. It's a similar thing with Invincible. I don't like referencing Invincible as much because to me, how Invincible does it feels more like it's trying to say Superman is stupid or the not killing rule in superheroes is stupid. But in so doing, I feel like it kind of misses the point. Because those stories have also tried to criticize that. What do I mean? Well, Batman doesn't fucking kill people. Well, yeah, Batman doesn't kill people because if Batman kills someone, he'll literally he won't stop killing and he knows it. That's why Batman doesn't kill. And this creates two kinds of scenarios. One, on one hand, the villains will eventually break out and hurt more people. On the other hand, it creates hope for some people who weren't necessarily horrible people, and it makes Batman incredibly empathetic as a character. And which is one of the reasons Superman loves him as a person. Because Batman is this person who who should be killing people. Batman is a dude with normal fucking, like literally he's just a slightly above average super person. Or not even super person, he's just slightly above average human being. He should fucking kill people. And he doesn't. He's just an incredible example for a god like Superman. Which is the reason Batman loves Superman. It's why they're fucking buddies. Because literally their characters, and I get it, this is straying completely off topic, but please bear with me. Literally they're characters who inspire each other. Because Superman finds hope in everybody. Even people who maybe shouldn't deserve it. And that's why, like, I think Kirkman is the guy who wrote Invincible. That's why I kind of don't like Invincible as much when it comes to how Invincible handles this same topic of Mark needing to fucking kill people because they're too fucking dangerous. I liked how the Invincible show handles it better than how the Invincible comic handles it. Because the way the Invincible comic handles it feels more lazy, and it feels more, like, it's just saying, oh, Superman's stupid for not fucking killing people. But that's the thing, Superman's whole thing is that he finds another way, he sticks to his convictions. And I get it, but Goku is not Superman. These other characters are not Superman. Superman's meant to represent hope. That's why him choosing different ways is important for his character. Because he has that privilege, and he tries to teach us to be better because, hey, if this god can choose to be better, we can choose to be better. See what I mean? That's why it makes Superman so effective as a character. Whereas Mark is not really a god. He's facing literal gods, and he has to stop them or everybody fucking dies. So, right? So for Mark, it felt like, you know, Mark is the character from Invincible. That's why that felt effective. Anyways, that's why I like Goku's the most, personally, because Goku is not a god, and for him, it's a very personal reason. He literally doesn't want to do this, but he has to because that's what it means to be an adult. You have to make a choice you don't like, and there are people you just can't fucking reason with. And even Superman like had people he can't reason with, but he had the fucking Phantom Zone, so you could just be like, okay, go in that prison forever. Goodbye, never seeing you again. But even Superman has had like those sobering reality moments, you know, where he had to go fucking batshit. I get I strayed a lot off topic, but this is to me what Reiji's doing with Kazuya, where Kazuya is having this sobering reality moment where, okay, look, you can't reason with her. You can't reason with Ruka. Kazuya's gonna try to talk to her, and whether he can stop her or not is a whole other matter. And I think Kazuya, in trying to talk to Ruka, might come to this realization: he can't reason with Ruka. He has to just end this fucking relationship, or she's gonna keep doing this. And so, what makes these chapters incredible is that the chapter name is literally like Ruka herself. These chapter names are called the first time. Ruka keeps talking about first times this, first times that, first times this. In reality, the line you think isn't important. The line you think is a red herring might not be a red herring. Depending on how it goes, today might be the end of this relationship. We think this line is a red herring. We think this line's a red herring. In reality, the very title of this chapter, of these sets of chapters, is a red herring. Ruka herself is a walking misdirection, just as the chapter titles are a misdirection. We talk about first times, aka the start of something, when in reality, this is probably the end of something. That's what this has always been. This is the end of something. And the last chapter being the last chapter of the next chapter being the last chapter of the year, I think is going to be indicative of that. I think next chapter is not going to be a good chapter for Ruka. I think Kazuya is being pushed to make a decision to end this relationship on his own and not give Ruka a choice. And in so doing, he can understand why Chizuru told him, no, you can't keep loving me because it's not right. Right? Kazuya kept telling her, I'm going to keep loving you. Now he's going to understand why Chizuru said that. Why Chizuru told him, no, you can't keep loving me because you're going to keep trying. Now he's going to understand why touching her was impactful, why not touching her in the past was such a fucking problem. He's going to understand why Ruka being able to touch him this entire time was a huge factor in why this happened in the first place. That she can't control herself. Ruka does not have control over her choices. And in so doing, she abuses her control of him. Just as she cannot control herself, she in turn enforces control on him. And he can't control himself. Right? It's literally a toxic relationship. She is the one in control. He doesn't have control in this relationship, and Ruka has been the one enforcing control onto Kazuya, making him feel powerless. In reality, what Kazuya has been seeing this whole time has been Mommy, Ruka, and even maybe Minnie. He hasn't been seeing Chizuru. He's been seeing these people who take control away from him. Mommy at the start of the series took control away from him. Ruka here is taking control away from him. Minnie also took control away from him. Every single character around him takes control away from him. And he doesn't realize that these characters are the ones he's seeing, not Chizuru. I'm 100% positive next chapter is going to leak super early next week, and it's going to suck mega hard. We'll see. We'll see. If it's going to leak, it'll probably be tomorrow or the day after. You don't think the Sage aspect could be Chizuru? No, because it reads like post-nut clarity. And that's definitely not Chizuru. The only character who is not here is Kazuya. It feels like it's him. It really feels like it's him. It's too relevant to him. Johan, can we say Ruka parallels what Chizuru is afraid to become her mom, and Umi parallels what Kazuya should be afraid to become his dad? No. I agree to the first one. Ruka parallels what Kazuya fears to become her mom. But we don't know. Kazuya's dad doesn't seem like a bad person, but he is a little violent sometimes. So I'm going to say no. Not necessarily. I think, so this is where I kind of want to get into another thing. I think Umi is not what we think he is. Okay? And I'm going to read you another thing I wrote in regards to Umi. Okay. So, of course, we have this parallel between Umi and Ruka. Their poses are quite similar. But there is differences. There is some differences. I'm going to talk about those differences now. Okay. Umi wears black on the outside, but his inside is white. Ruka wears white on the outside, but her inside is black. There's a few readings for this. There are a few readings for this. First, and probably the most accurate, Ruka appears young and innocent, but she is not. On the inside, she is far more adult and dark than she appears. The white disguises the darkness underneath the surface, much like the snow in Chapter 402's cover. In contrast, Umi appears adult through the black exterior, something you can literally see in how he speaks and how he acts and how he presents himself. But he is more childish and maybe innocent on the inside than he looks. Something we can see in his maintenance of boundaries with Chizuru, as well as his naivety around picking a great guy and happiness. Both characters are not as they appear, but in opposite ways. Ruka's ribbons represent her innocence. Ribbons are cute. They express youth, joy, and even innocence. Ruka, kind of like an ideal. And Ruka took off her ribbons and has not put them back on. And that, again, creates more contrast. Umi is also fully clothed. Ruka is not. Umi has part of his face covered, which is a double meaning. On one hand, it matches his words that he doesn't actually see Chizuru. On the other, it literally hides a part of his face, and so it shows you don't actually see the full him. It's a dual meaning. It literally has a dual meaning. In contrast, when you look at Ruka, she's different. Ruka's eyes are fully visible, but she's in shadows. Umi, in contrast, is not shadowed. Umi, in contrast, is very visible, even though it's night out. It's literally night out, but he's clearly visible. He's not shadowed. He's there in plain sight. He's almost like a lamp or like a building. He stands out. Ruka is literally in the light, and she's in shadows. Ruka's arm is clenched. She's holding on, right? Ruka's hand is closed. It's clenched. She's holding on. She's not letting go, right? It's like you're bracing for something. You're holding on to something like you're not letting go, right? Umi's hand is wide open, like he's already let go. He's loose. Umi's entire posture is loose, right? He's not facing Chizuru. In fact, the eye that's directed towards her is covered up. Umi is far more loose than Ruka is. Ruka is a lot more stern, holding on, but Umi is loose. Umi, when you interact with him here, doesn't blush, doesn't react. He seems far more in control here, right? He doesn't move in any weird way. He doesn't do anything weird. But I think this is what this is hiding. I think this is what this scene is hiding. The difference between Umi and Ruka is this. Ruka is in control of the environment. Ruka controls Kazuya. She sees him better than he sees himself. She is in control of him. Umi is in control of himself. That's the difference. Umi, in my opinion here, is in complete control of himself. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly who he is. And we don't see that. We think he's just some deluded idiot who's caught up in beliefs and whatever. I think Umi knows exactly who he is. The only thing is, here, his eyes are hidden. He doesn't see her, right? Umi doesn't see Chizuru because maybe he doesn't see love, much like how Chizuru doesn't necessarily see love. That's the difference. I think Umi knows who he is. Ruka doesn't. Ruka does not know who she actually is. Much like how Kazuya doesn't know who he is. And I think that's the fascinating element, right? Umi, I think, maybe doesn't understand love, or it could be the reverse, right? Maybe it's the reverse. Maybe Umi knows who he is and he understands his love. And maybe Ruka doesn't know who she is and doesn't understand her love. They could be absolute extremes, right? But there is an intentional contrast between Umi and Ruka, and that how Umi doesn't blush, doesn't react, doesn't even do anything. And it's almost like he's following a particular pattern, like he has this laid out for himself. He knows exactly what he's doing. Umi appears robotic. Ruka, the character who's blushing, who's reacting, who's doing all of this, literally is robotic. That's the difference. Umi merely looks a certain way to you. Ruka literally is like this, but she doesn't look that way to you. She looks cute, adorable. She doesn't look dangerous. Yet she's incredibly dangerous. Umi, in contrast, has literally never actually done anything. He's merely looked like he did something dangerous. Every time he does something, it looks dangerous. But he literally never does anything. Right? The fact that Chizuru still interacts with him is telling. Because guess what? Chizuru interacted with Mommy and she doesn't fucking talk to her again. She doesn't fucking talk to Mommy ever again. What did Mommy do? Mommy touched her, grabbed her, hugged her, got really close to her. Right? Do you remember that? What did Mommy do? Mommy literally abused Chizuru's personal space. She touched her. She literally grabbed her arm. She forced her to hug her. She dragged her all over the place. She literally pushed her against the wall. Mommy did all these horrible things, and Chizuru does not speak to her ever again. Right? Chizuru does not talk to Mommy. She doesn't fucking talk to her. Umi, on contrast, theoretically, he should have done all these terrible things, and yet she still talks to him. Right? So what I think Reiji is doing with Umi is that he's presenting him as this guy that Chizuru had to save herself from. Right? He's presenting Umi as this guy, this patriarchal man who Chizuru had to save herself from. And she had to make a choice and push past that and take control. In reality, Ruka is the dangerous girl Kazuya has to save himself from. And Umi may not have actually been nearly as dangerous as we think he is. And I continue to repeat this because Umi never, ever breaks boundaries. Literally never. He never pushes boundaries. Now, Umi does push emotional boundaries, it seems like. Right? Umi seemingly always emotionally challenges Chizuru, whereas Ruka physically challenges Kazuya. So I do think maybe there's a relevance to that. Right? There's a relevance to what Umi does and what Chizuru does, or what Umi does and what Ruka does, whereas Ruka is a very physical character. Umi is a very emotional character. And yet Umi seemingly doesn't do anything. Right? We think Umi is like the dangerous character when it's Mommy. Right? Mommy's the thing Chizuru needs to talk about. Right? And we don't know the details of what's been going on with Umi. We don't actually know what the heck is going on with Umi. Right? We don't know. And makes people speculate and freak out and assume all sorts of things. In reality, what Chizuru actually needs to talk about with Kazuya is fucking Mommy. Mommy is the problem. Mommy's the one who did all the horrendous shit. In contrast, you have Minnie and Ruka. Right? Ruka appears like the good thing to Chizuru's eyes. Right? She appears like the good thing to most of us. And lately, we've been thinking Minnie is the problem. Right? Minnie has done a lot of stupid shit, mind you, but Kazuya chooses to listen to Minnie. Right? So is Minnie merely just a tool? Or is Kazuya choosing to listen to Minnie and not set boundaries with her? Right? Because Minnie's just AI. She's just giving you what you want to hear, even if it's wrong. Ruka, in contrast, is actually dangerous. She's not AI. She's like a robot. And that's scarier. Chizuru is straightforward and doesn't give Umi a chance. Yeah, she's very direct. And I still think Umi isn't what we think he is. I'm still pretty sure about that. I'm still pretty fucking sure Umi is not what we think he is. You know? Especially because Umi just doesn't cross those boundaries. You see him touch other girls, but he never just touches Chizuru. And I think that's telling. I think that those other girls are okay with that, but Chizuru isn't, and so Umi never does that. And I think that in itself is telling. Now, there are instances where you can see certain things like here, where Umi says, whoever you decide to be with must be a great guy, and being with that person makes you happy, that's good enough for me. But look at how his eyes are covered here. His words show that he doesn't see her. And her face is blank when he says this. He doesn't actually see her when he says these words. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm hoping that person to be me. And then you suddenly see his eyes, but you see half of his face covered. Meaning what he's saying here isn't the full truth. What you're saying here isn't the full truth. Whereas here, he's not actually describing Chizuru. That's not how Chizuru feels. And that's why Chizuru feels shadowed here. He doesn't actually see her. And it almost feels like Chizuru didn't pass some sort of test. And I think that's fascinating because Umi's literally dressed like a judge. Chizuru says, I'm not the kind of person that you think I am. Right? You're wrong about me. I'm not what you think I am. Because what he just described here is incorrect. I'm not capable of choosing a great guy or even understanding what makes me happy. Right? So for Chizuru, it's not just about picking a great guy, and she doesn't even know what makes her happy. I don't know if that's referring to in a relationship or in general. But that already highlights Umi doesn't understand her like he thinks he does, and I don't know. Umi is not what we think he is. I'm kind of like really sure about that. Right? Whereas Ruka just did all of this shit, and she's still in Kazuya's house. And she acts like she's in control. In his house. Right? Umi didn't do this in Chizuru's house. Now, people will say, well, he could have. He showed up at her place randomly. You never know what he could have done. Okay, but that's a hypothetical. That's purely hypothetical. You have no idea what he would have done. You've never seen him actually do anything before, so you don't know. We have no idea what Umi would have done. That's purely hypothetical. However, we know exactly what Ruka did in Kazuya's house multiple fucking times now. Right? So with Umi, you don't actually have a track record. You're just assuming because he's a guy. Right? Just because Umi's a guy and he did manipulative shit in the past, you think that if he was in Chizuru's house, he would try to do something. In contrast, you have Ruka, who has been in Kazuya's house and who has pulled shit every single fucking time she's been in his house. And you never judge her. It's like Reiji is literally leveraging that. And the fact that Ruka has black hair and dresses in white, whereas Umi has white hair and dresses in black, I feel like says a lot. They're literally inverses. They're literally inverses of each other. Like, come on. Right? And Ruka to me is like a person who can do good in a bad relationship. Like, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, there can be good in a bad relationship. That's just a fact. Of course there can. Of course you can have good moments in a bad relationship. It doesn't change the fact that the relationship is fucking bad. Right? And to me, Minnie acted as essentially foreshadowing for that. Minnie is not actually a bad relationship, in my opinion, weirdly enough, because Minnie never actually crosses the line. She comes close. She does use Kazuya to some degree, sure. She never crosses the line. Minnie has been presented with many chances to cross the line, and she never did. So that's why I think Minnie is not actually a bad relationship. Rather, it's more codependent. Which, yes, is bad, but there are good aspects to it too. I think Minnie is not as bad as Ruka, for sure, of course. No fucking shit. But it could end up being bad. Minnie and Kazuya's relationship is good, but in the wrong circumstances, it can be bad. In particular, because they're not defining their relationship. That's the problem. That's the problem with Ruka. That's the problem with Minnie and Kazuya. Their relationship is not bad. The problem is they're not defining their relationship and they're not actually talking to each other. That's how it's starting to become bad. Ruka and Kazuya's relationship is bad, period. And now you're starting to see that. And the reason these chapters are connected to the mini chapters is because when Minnie was over at Kazuya's place, Minnie literally, took advantage of Kazuya. Right? She got him drunk. She did all that stuff, but it's not like Kazuya didn't consent. It's just Minnie didn't do anything to like tell him, no, what you're doing is wrong. Right? She never did that. She never really did that. She kind of just like kept drinking with him and kept enabling his bad behavior. That's the issue with Minnie. She just kind of continued to enable his bad behavior. But with enough time, it can become bad. And you're already getting signs of it theoretically becoming bad. What about Sumi? Sumi is a good relationship. The problem with Sumi is that what people don't realize about Sumi's character is that Sumi essentially tries to have the both of both worlds. And unfortunately, that's not going to work out. Sumi is essentially Kazuya's rental girlfriend, period. But she also is interested in him romantically. The problem is she usually goes to the other one. Usually Sumi ends up going to the rental. She always leans towards rental and puts other people first. The problem with Sumi here is that because she doesn't put her feelings first and actually talk about them, she's, in a sense, selfishly choosing to live in a selfless world. And that's the sad part. Sumi is selfishly choosing to live in choosing to not do anything about her feelings and put them to the side, right? But Sumi is ultimately a good relationship. I think Sumi is also that character where you kind of think you understand her, but you don't. Because she does have like selfish tendencies, where, she keeps pushing the relationship with Kazuya and then never really tells him how she actually feels. So she always remains a rental girlfriend. And then she ends up sad when nothing works out. And her not being in the story is almost reflective of her own character. That she literally writes herself out of the story. That's the funny part. She's the inverse of Ruka. Whereas Ruka forces herself into the story, Sumi writes herself out of the story. She chooses to not be involved unless invited in. And I think that's sad because she's purely selfish. Purely selfless. Sumi is too selfless. Sumi is kind of not really chasing her goals. That's the issue with Sumi's character. She uses her I don't know if it's uses, but basically her timid nature stops her from actually doing what she wants. And then you see the problem with that and how when it comes to food or other things, she becomes a total glutton. So Sumi is timid and shy and doesn't really express her selfish desires very much, right? She expresses them in pseudo ways where she kind of has the best of both worlds. The problem with that arises when she's put in situations where she always puts her care for others first instead of herself. And so what happens is you'll get something like her character song, which is called Sakura Selfish, and it's literally Sumi being incredibly selfish, and it almost feels like she's letting herself free, like she's freeing herself from this bondage and like letting herself be a total absolute fucking glutton. And it's because Sumi is actually quite selfish, but she's stopping herself from being selfish. She could literally do anything she wanted, and she stops herself. In a sense, she's stuck. She literally doesn't do what she wants to do. That to me makes Sumi somewhat of an interesting character, but also kind of a reactionary and passive character at times, in contrast with the times where she is very like active, right? She's active for other people and not so much for herself. This acts as a mirror of Kazuya, where Kazuya is also quite active for other people and not so much herself. But Reiji shows how that can be destructive. That could be very destructive for you, when you're not active for yourself, when you're constantly like putting other people first. And in so doing, you don't matter as much, right? So Sumi needs to start like treating herself like she matters. And there are instances where you see her having like, an ulterior motive, Where, for instance, when she's talking to Chizuru on Chizuru's birthday and she's cheering her up, the reason she asks a little more questions about if Chizuru loves Kazuya is selfish, because she has feelings for him. She has these feelings she wouldn't address about herself for him. And so she asked Chizuru selfishly in secret about that ulterior motive. But then she chooses to put Chizuru first. Right? So you see how Sumi is both like, oh, she had an ulterior motive there, but at the same time, okay, but she still chose to help Chizuru the fuck out because she's a good homie. You know, you see how like Sumi works like that? Where Sumi is like a positive negative. Whereas Ruka is like Sumi is a negative positive. So it's like okay, never mind. Positive negative. She is positive, but she has a little bit of negative. Ruka is the reverse. Ruka is very negative, and she has a little bit positive. Remember when she grabs Kazuya's arm out of nowhere in front of Mami? Yeah, she's trying to be supportive, and she just kind of fucks up. And Kazuya's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. That was stupid. Sumi is why living life with chains holds you back is very bad. Yeah, she's literally living in chains. In a sense, it also acts as a mirror of Mami. Sumi is very much kind of like Mami. The difference between her and Mami lies in the fact that seemingly nothing is holding Sumi back, whereas Mami is actually in bondage, and she has to free herself. Whereas Sumi is in like a mental bondage, right? She's choosing to trap herself, and she needs to be free. Mami is literally actually trapped, and she needs to physically free herself. That's how Sumi and Mami act as somewhat parallels. In contrast, Ruka is physically trapped, I would say, whereas Minnie is emotionally trapped in their own inverted ways. Minnie emotionally inserts herself into situations. Ruka physically inserts herself into situations. The issues Minnie causes are almost all emotional, right? She emotionally makes Chizuru doubt herself in how she approaches things. With Chizuru, like, and she can physically force herself, but it doesn't work. Whereas with the Ruka physically forces herself, it does cause problems, right? So when Minnie physically forces herself, it doesn't fucking do anything. When Ruka physically forces herself, it causes all the fucking problems in the story. In contrast to Mami, who emotionally forces herself and it causes issues. You see how all the characters like connect in like unique and interesting ways. I'm not gonna lie, Reiji has a plan for every character, and what he's planned for Sumi is very fascinating, mainly because I have no idea. I think Sumi has a chance to come back after this. I think there's a real chance of Sumi coming back after this. It makes a little too much sense. She's been gone for a little too long, and you need a kind of emotional relief after this. Like, we got Mami, we've had Minnie for a while, we've had Chizuru for a good while too. Chizuru just came back this chapter, and she's seemingly in no fucking position to help anybody, right? Chizuru is in no fucking position to fucking help anybody right now. She is not here. She is mentally checked the fuck out. Chizuru is not saving anybody. If anything, she borderline needs saving herself. She is gone. Dude, girl is fucking out of it. Chizuru is not here to save the day. I think that's what Reiji's showing here. It's like, oh, no. Chizuru is not fucking here to save the day. Please understand. And basically Kazuya has to fucking save himself. You know, nobody's getting him out of this situation. He needs to fucking do it. In contrast, I think if Sumi shows up, Sumi may be the necessary relief at the moment, but it could also act as a necessary talk for with Sumi's character and what she wants to do, you know? So what if Sumi changes too? She's more straightforward and is trying to be more selfish. It's going to be confused the fuck out of Kazuya. Because I don't know about that, because last time we saw her, she was pretty much the fucking same. I don't think Sumi's going to magically be a different character when we see her. She's definitely still going to be herself. So I don't know. Sumi saves Chizuru, then Chizuru saves Kazuya after the Ruka situation. So what Kazuya needs right now is acceptance. The last time Kazuya experienced this, Sumi was what he needed. And Sumi is what got him out. And this is why I think Sumi's going to come back soon. Right? Literally, Kazuya has Ruka kiss him. The Sayuri situation happens right after. This time, no Sayuri situation. Chizuru is off somewhere else emotionally. The way Chizuru is dressed even nods to how Chizuru was dressed when she went to Kazuya's place on his birthday. So, like, the way she's dressed here. Let me show you how she looked in Kazuya's place. Huh. This sure seems a little similar. Not quite the same, mind you, but it's pretty similar. Right? It's almost inverted. It's literally inverted. Right? The dress is swaying in the different direction. But the way she's holding her bag is the same. She has a collar here. She doesn't have a collar here. It's almost inverted. Now, last time, again, Sumi shows up after. Sumi is what Kazuya needed, right? Kazuya talks to Sumi to help Chizuru. What if this time Kazuya talks to Sumi because he needs help? Not because of Chizuru or anything else. Or maybe he'll ask her, like, how do I talk to Chizuru? What do I say? I don't know what to fucking say. And I think the big thing is Kazuya definitely needs someone to open up to. And I don't know if that's going to be Minnie. And we've gotten signs he wouldn't open up to Minnie about this. We've gotten signs he would not open up to Minnie about this. Maybe Kibe might come back. I don't know. But we've gotten signs he would not open up to Minnie about this, and I'll show you what I mean. He thinks about sex. I can't tell her. This is one thing that I really can't tell her. These perverted thoughts. So, Kibe could be someone Kazuya could talk to. I could see Kibe being someone Kazuya chooses to talk to. Because Kazuya clearly can't tell. Like, I feel like he'd have a hard time telling a girl. You know, I feel like he'd have a hard time telling a girl. So, it feels like Kibe makes some sense. But if we follow the pattern, Sumi should theoretically show up. But it would be interesting if Sumi shows up for Chizuru and not for Kazuya. Chizuru did say in her birthday that she would ask Sumi if have any advice, talk to Sumi. Yeah, so that's why I think Sumi might show up for Chizuru this time, in contrast to Kazuya, and Kazuya might go to Kibe, which I think is totally possible. Especially because Kazuya needs to open up to a friend, and his relationship with Kibe needs to be properly fixed. And I think this would act as an amazing test for Kibe. You know, I think that would act as an amazing test for Kibe's character. Okay, Kibe, you were wrong about everything. Kazuya has been stuck in a lot of bad situations. He's not had control in this situation. He needs your help. He needs you to fucking listen to him, dude. That would be amazing for Kazuya's character, as well as for Kibe's character. Kibe has been extremely dismissive of Kazuya, so if Kibe just actually listens to his buddy, and just, like, fucking talks to him and is like, dude, it's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. You should just talk to Chizuru. Just talk to her. I think it would be really interesting if Kibe is the one who, like, listens to Kazuya and tells him, bro, I'll be a Wildt. I won't tell anybody. I won't tell a soul. I won't tell Nagomi. I won't tell anybody. I'm your homie. That would be fitting because Sumi says, I'll be a Wildt this time. right? Sumi tells Kazuya, I'll be a Wildt this time. Sumi is also a very innocent character. So Kazuya bringing this up to Sumi just doesn't make sense, right? Like Sumi is a very innocent character. It just doesn't make sense. I could see Kazuya trying to talk to Minnie about this, right? Maybe this ends up being a test for Kazuya to talk to Minnie about this, about these perverted thoughts of his, right? That could be interesting. Because maybe he might try. Maybe he might try, but Reishi is setting up something interesting here. It's like Kazuya clearly, after this, needs someone to talk to. He clearly, absolutely needs someone to fucking talk to. He cannot keep this in. Who he chooses to talk to is important. It can't be Curry. Maybe it could be Curry. Like, Curry would be interesting. Because Curry, oh my god, it might be Curry. Oh, it might be Curry. Oh, yeah. Oh, it could totally be Curry. Because Curry's the only one that knows about the sex thing. Curry's the only one who's mentioned sex to Kazuya. Oh, but that creates a precarious situation for Kazuya. Because Curry and Ruka have this weird thing. This might be how we reintroduce Curry into the picture. Ooh. Curry doesn't know about the Ruka stuff, and that would be very eye-opening. Yeah. Yeah, that would be quite a big fucking deal. Yeah. Ooh, this could be set up for Curry to return. Well, I didn't even think of that. Wow, that didn't even click for me. Especially considering Curry is how it all started. Curry is how Ruka's relationship started, and now we're seemingly reaching the end of the Ruka relationship. It almost makes sense for it to be Curry. It almost makes sense for it to be him. Like, yeah, this is the end of the relationship. Kazuya needs someone to talk about. Curry was there from the fucking start with Ruka. He knows more than anyone in regards to Ruka. The only thing he doesn't know is the situation between her and Kazuya. And what Kazuya has been going through alone. And no wonder that Kazuya has been so hesitant in regards to sex. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? Like, Curry would be like, bro, it's no wonder you're having problems with, like, sexual relationship with Chizuru. You're fucking terrified because of what Ruka did. And Kazuya would be like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, no fucking shit, dude. Like, I could totally see that happening for Kazuya with Curry. Where Curry just be like, bro, no fucking shit. She's been treating you like crap. Oh, this could be interesting. Maybe mommy with the long hours in the car drives training Ed, and she knows that something is wrong with him. Look, I get it. You want mommy to solve this. Mommy is not solving this. I get it. You want mommy to solve this. Mommy is not solving this. Mommy is not a healthy, safe space for Kazuya. That's not what he fucking needs right now. And he's not going to turn to her. He doesn't fucking talk to her. Why would he turn? He never fucking talks to her. Kazuya can barely talk to mommy. You think he'd fucking tell her about this? Like, hell no. Curry, though, Curry makes some sense. Kibe is, I'm a little hesitant. I could definitely see Kazuya still hesitating around Kibe. So that's why I don't think it could happen just yet. I think Curry could help Kazuya ease into Kibe. You know? I think Curry could help Kazuya ease into Kibe. But I don't know. There's also the chance that Kazuya might still spiral after this. So there's a lot. Yeah, like literally it's kind of hard to predict where we're going. Like, there's a very real chance Kazuya is going to spiral after this because he's not going to know what to do. He's not going to know what to fucking do. And I don't think at first he's going to know who to open up to. I think he might open up to someone out of desperation. Like, I think it'll just hit like such a bad point that he's going to want to open up to someone. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Wondering how Curry would feel if he knew about this and about Ruka. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How would he feel? Could have been Umi since he has experience, but I don't think he would have helped. I doubt Kazuya would tell Umi about this. I kind of doubt it. Yeah, I don't think so. It always ends where it began. Kazuya is going to come clean about his rental relationship with Ruka, and it's going to be a test of friendship. Yeah, you betrayed me in a way, but can I forgive you and move past this? It could be both Kari and Kibe at the same time, like they both ran into him and Chizuru right before Chizuru met Mami. Oh, you mean at Hawaiians? Well, Curry being there was more so a karmic justice to Ruka. For Hawaiians. I was explaining this earlier. Curry being there was more of a karmic justice for Ruka. Like, oh, hey, you're going to force yourself into this? Okay. Curry's going to come too. He's literally your past fucking haunting you. That's why Ruka reacts. That's why Ruka reacts to Curry. Nobody else. Right? Kazuya freaks out about Ruka's reaction. Ruka is the one who reacts to Curry. Ruka is the one who's constantly reacting to Curry. Because that's what Curry represented. Kibe was more there for Kazuya. Kibe is the thing that's like haunting Kazuya per se. Umi would be a boy who cried wolf if Kazuya... Umi would be the boy who cried wolf if Kazuya told him about Ruka. Oh god, yeah, maybe. I doubt Kazuya would fucking trust him. I fucking doubt it. I sincerely doubt Kazuya would actually fucking trust him. Like, hell no. Kazuya doesn't even fucking know Umi. He doesn't know anything about him. Why the fuck would he trust him? You know? Like, I just don't see it. I don't see Kazuya trusting Mami either. Let's see. What's this? Oh, I see. I would rather tell Nagomi than Umi. My god. Nagomi may cook me, but at least Umi doesn't suck. But at least she doesn't suck like Umi, sorry. Okay. So... yeah, just to further add on to what I said for Ruka, where how we perceive the Ruka situation, right? Let's talk about more how people perceive the Ruka situation. Kazuya is the adult after all, so it must be all his fault. He is responsible for Ruka. He didn't already know he didn't love her, so he can't possibly be in control, right? Or sorry, she didn't already know he doesn't love her. She can't possibly be in control, except she did fucking know. Ruka isn't dumb as shit. What about his mom? Kazuya is not telling his mom. Like, literally, this is the kind of... what makes this so incredibly interesting is that this acts as an incredible test of friendship and relationships. Because Kazuya is going to feel like he can't tell anybody. He's going to feel like he cannot tell anybody. The closest person he has to him is Minnie. And I don't even know if Kazuya can tell her. That's what makes it interesting. This will act as a test of Minnie and Kazuya's friendship. Okay, can you tell her? And if that doesn't work, Kazuya is going to feel incredibly cornered. And it might make him spiral a little bit. You know? That I'm really curious, how would Minnie react to this? How would Minnie react to this? What would Minnie say? How would Minnie feel? And it would be so interesting to see like how Chizuru feels in regards to this. That's why this is such an important thing to happen for Kazuya's character. Because it acts as a fundamental test to all of his relationships. How would the people feel? How would the people he loves and the people who care about him feel about this? How would they react? Who can Kazuya talk to about this? It acts as a genuine, serious trust of his relationship with the people around him. A girl abused me. Right? She made me do this. Am I at fault? Right? How would the people around him react? This is a big deal for pretty much every character. Because, like, for example, Nagomi is having her perspective and her perceptions of Kazuya and Chizuru be completely challenged, right? She perceived Chizuru a certain way because of her job. This is rooted in her internalized misogyny towards certain aspects of, like, what women have to do to be good enough as women, right? This is internalized misogyny. And even a woman can feel that. Nagomi clearly judged Chizuru solely for the job that she worked, clearly perceiving her as some sort of hooker. She doesn't say those words, but clearly she admitted to this. So her perception of Chizuru also mirrors her perception of Kazuya and how she needs to see her and understand her grandson. In contrast, this could act as a good thing for Kibei's character too, for Minnie's character, for Chizuru's character, literally how everyone perceives and understands Kazuya. And that a man can be impacted too. And I'm really genuinely curious who Kazuya's going to go open up to. I don't think it's going to be Chizuru first, right? Maybe he feels so bad he wants to tell Chizuru first. And Chizuru being incredibly understanding would be like so fucking powerful for his character. But I don't think it's going to be Chizuru first. I think it's going to be someone else. You know, I think it's going to be someone else that he's going to talk to first. I just don't know who. I don't think it's his family. I don't think it's Kibei first. Like, I already felt kind of weird about Kibei. Minnie is definitely the number one contender. Minnie is definitely the number one contender at the moment. Chizuru would be like second or third. Curry is also up there. I don't think Sumi works because Sumi is a very innocent character. It just doesn't feel like her character to talk about that kind of stuff. I don't feel like Kazuya would want to talk about that stuff with Sumi. Like, he barely talks to her as it is. So I don't think he would ever mention that to her. But it would be interesting to have Sumi be put in that position. I think it would be very interesting to have Sumi in that particular position to act around our assumptions. We're like, okay, so Sumi's a very innocent character. She clearly doesn't know anything about sex. Only for Reishi to like subvert our expectations. Be like, no. Yeah, Sumi's a very innocent character, but she's not fucking stupid. And she can talk to Kazuya about this. That would be very interesting. That would be incredibly interesting. To have a dichotomy between Sumi, the super innocent character, talking about a very adult topic like this. Ruka has the same pose as Umi before her rejection. Bro, you are so fucking late. You are so fucking late. We are so past this. We are so past this. Like, literally, we are so past this. I was literally already explaining how Umi and Ruka are, like, completely reversed. Literally completely fucking reversed. The entire point is that they're literally, their postures, their presentation, how they are is completely reversed, which tells me this is not going to play out anything like Umi. This is not going to play out anything like Umi. There might be similarities. There's clearly going to be similarities, but it's not going to play out anything like Umi. We are so past that point. Sumi is a rental who likely has the fear of sexual assault when she dates. I imagine she would lock in on it quickly to provide support. So look, I don't know about that. Like, oh, just because you work that job, you're afraid of sexual assault. I don't know about that. However, I'll give you some credit where credit is due. In the live action of the series, when Chizuru was about to be sexually assaulted when she was with that client who drugged her, Sumi is the one who notices this. Sumi is the one who tells Kazuya, who goes to Kazuya, and who gets Kazuya's help to go help Chizuru. Sumi is the one who empowers Kazuya to go and save Chizuru. So, yeah. Sumi could very well be relevant to this. Sumi's the one who caught it. Sumi tells Kazuya, like, oh, hey, this guy's blacklisted. I don't know how the fuck he got past the system. And he was able to meet Chizuru. And Sumi tells him, like, this man is dangerous. Like, Chizuru needs your help. So the fact that Sumi knew about that maybe indicates, okay, Sumi is a very real possibility of, like, what could be next. Because she's the one who alerts Kazuya about that situation. Maybe she's the one who alerts Chizuru about that situation with Ruka. Maybe we can invert it. So maybe Sumi is the one who alerts Chizuru about Ruka. And how Kazuya is like not in a good place for some reason because he was with this girl named Ruka. He didn't look okay, right? I don't know. That would be interesting. Either way, I think Sumi is going to be relevant to this. I definitely think Sumi's going to be relevant to this. How? I'm not sure. But I do think Sumi's going to be relevant. What if Minnie can't talk to Kazuya and has to call Chizuru to tell her that he's acting strange because he doesn't know what to do? Because she doesn't know what to do. That makes some sense, but I think Kazuya is going to pretend like he's fine. Knowing Kazuya, he's going to pretend like he's fine. Like, who are we kidding? We don't know if Kazuya would emotionally shut down after this. Because Kazuya takes pain like a champ, okay? Kazuya takes pain like a champ. So he's not going to emotionally shut down. He's just going to try to come up with a plan. And again, I don't see him emotionally shutting down. I see him trying to talk to Chizuru. Or not Chizuru, Minnie. The only thing I see so far is Kazuya trying to talk to Minnie somehow. Because he needs a yes man. He needs someone to help him solve this, and that's going to be the thing I don't think Minnie can. I think this is what's going to be the big breaking illusion moment for Kazuya. Minnie's not going to know what to fucking do. And she's going to think he failed, and she's going to freak him the fuck out. And the reason I say this, the reason I can blatantly say this, is because Kazuya is going to think he fucked up. And Minnie's just going to throw that back at him, you fucked up. That's why I think Minnie's going to like not be a solution for Kazuya, and Kazuya is going to realize. Because that's what AI does. Literally, there have been cases with AI. I'm not fucking kidding you. There have been cases with AI where people reach out to it because they're suicidal, and it literally tells them to do it. Instead of telling them, go talk to a professional, instead of having that alert like inserted into its system somehow, it's like, oh, no, please go talk to a professional, or please go reach out to this like hotline or something. It literally tells them, oh, no, you should do it. It like incentivizes them to do it. And it tells them how. It literally gives them guides on how to fucking do it. That's fucking terrifying. So Minnie making Kazuya freak out the fuck more makes too much sense to me. Minnie being parallel to AI, and Minnie appearing so positive up until this point, I think is literally set up for that to come crashing the fuck down. Because Kazuya is going to go to her about this really important, sensitive topic, and she's not going to know what to fucking do. She's going to tell him, oh my god, every relationship where that's happened, it's ended poorly. Oh my god, you cheated. Oh my god, this. Oh my god, that. And literally, her responses are not going to help him. Right? I genuinely think Minnie's going to make this worse. Because AI would make this worse. Right? He's going to tell her, he's like, what do I do? And she's like, you're fucked. You're screwed. You can't do anything. Because AI wouldn't know what to fucking do. Yeah, I was talking to someone here, and he's like, most Japanese people don't view this as sexual assault, and I'm like, yeah, Kazuya doesn't view this as sexual assault, and he's wrong. Right, and then just to hammer in that Reiji is like aware of this, Reiji literally has Chizuru say these words in regards to social expectations. Society seems to think that, but I hate it. This is Chizuru's own words in regards to relationships and the social expectations around them. If that's not an indicator of how Reiji fucking feels in regards to literal social expectations like this, then I don't know what the fuck is. Right? And then if you think about it, what is like the foundation of Rent-A-Girlfriend? Taking characters others would view as trash and worthless and saying, no, they do matter. That's like a huge foundation of this story. Literally, the thing I just read you earlier, right? The thing I literally just fucking read you earlier. with this, right? Modern society has been diluted by social media and the internet, and here's hoping that Rent a Girlfriend can lend a hand and show you all the courage and the importance of behind building real human relationships, right? Other people would say other people, you all know the main hero, me, blah, 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 blah. Uh, uh, let's see. As someone who can be spoiled in every possible way, but seeing even trash like me be supported, not abandoned, isn't that wonderful? Really, with an oaf like me, you should just smile and say, oh, right, heh heh heh, and leave. But look at Chizuru. She yells at you like, you're wrong, you can't do this. Like, literally, Reiji's already saying. So when did Minnie become an AI? Okay, so we've talked about this already a few times, but here, let me show it to you. Chapter 391. Chapter 391. Minnie runs over to Kazuya, and Reiji does this very particular thing. Reiji tells you this panda is an AI. Minnie runs into the room. She tries to run to Kazuya, and the AI mirrors her. It literally follows her steps exactly. Like she's an AI. What happens at the very beginning of the chapter? Kazuya goes to Twitter and uses Grok, Twitter's AI. And he asks it questions and then it ultimately tells him things he doesn't like. But what if your AI knew a little bit more about your situation than you did? What if your AI knew exactly how to convince you of what you wanted to hear? What if your AI knew how to string an exact set of bullshit together, mixing in facts, fiction, assumptions, conjectures, a whole bunch of stuff together to convince you that you're right? And it's so impactful, you start crying. A few chapters after this, Kazuya literally talks to Minnie and he says, I think you're wrong. Literally, a few chapters after this, chapter 398, like just 7 chapters after this, he literally comes back to Minnie, he talks to her, he's like, I think you're wrong. Because he's starting to see the cracks in her little theory. And guess what? What's interesting about Minnie's bullshit theory here? In chapter 380, she tells Kazuya a different theory. Chapter 389, she tells him another theory. And then now, yet again, she tells him a third theory. But what's interesting about this theory? The background doesn't match the words. What she's saying doesn't match what we've seen. What she's saying doesn't match what we're seeing. It's literally, word vomit. It's literally word vomit to convince you. And she confidently says, this is the answer to the kiss. And seriously, if you have ever interacted with an AI, this is straight up exactly how they talk. They say it with such absolute confidence, even though they're fucking wrong. You ask an AI something, it will confidently tell you the answer to that thing, even if it's wrong. It will never question if it's incorrect. It will just, at it confidently, exactly like Minnie, tell you it's correct, even if it's wrong. And that's exactly what Reiji is using Minnie to do here. That's why Reiji has Kazuya actively interacting with AI. I'm so fucking sad after seeing Chapter as a Ruka shipper. I'm sorry to tell you, you're shipping a toxic relationship and you have been from the start of the fucking series. Sorry to tell you, you've been shipping a toxic ass series from the fucking beginning. You should rewatch my stream because I break it the fuck down how this relationship has been toxic the whole fucking time. It's literally been toxic the whole fucking time. You're literally shipping a toxic relationship. An AI not properly trained will always give wrong answers. Look, understand. No matter how much you train an AI, there are things it cannot solve. No matter how much, look, there's a fundamental a mistake you have about AI here. AI is literally a machine that you just feed information into, and then it starts giving answers. It doesn't mean those answers are correct, because what if you give it the wrong information? Or what if you give it information that it misinterprets? AI cannot create, it merely regurgitates out. It is not literally, AI is not designed to interact with people. Not like this. Now, you can use AI, but not this bullshit. Like, this bullshit is not what AI should be. AI should be like something that like helps make our lives easier. This is mainly being used to get you to be fucking stupid. That's the difference here. AI is literally being used to make you fucking stupid. Because they know there are people who are lonely. They know there are people who don't want to look stuff up, or they know there are people who want to ask other people what they think instead of just looking it up and researching, because researching is not fun. You know, a lot of us have been conditioned that researching is not fun. High school, college, it made research just not fucking fun, you know? So they use AI to trick you. There is no properly trained AI. Please understand. That's not a thing. There is no properly trained AI. That's not a thing. And there never will be, I think, to be honest. Because what they're going to do is they're going to keep building those data centers, fill the AI to the brim with information, and then, you know, just because it has all this information doesn't know what to fucking do with it. Right? You can feed it all the information you want. It's not going to learn. It's not going to have like a fucking medical degree. Right? You can give it all the information you want. It's not going to have a medical degree, because at some point that information will be incorrect. It doesn't matter how, that information will be incorrect. The problem with AI is that it doesn't know how to interpret information. It can't. It literally cannot. It's not designed for that. This thing is just meant to take in information and just regurgitate it out. It doesn't mean it fucking knows what it's doing. Right? It doesn't have a fucking medical degree. They're trained AI, and it's called Skynet, and look at what happened. Oh no. Dude, the more I like think about like where we are right now, the more like I want to fucking doom a little bit. I'm just like, oh god. No, we're so fucked. We're so fucked. Right? Like, I almost have to just, like, try to not focus on it, because I'm just like, Jesus Christ, we're so screwed. Oh, man. Chizuru AI trained from theatrical play. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Hold it in, lol. Hold one in. Sorry for making you repeat yourself about Minnie being an AI. It's okay. It's okay. It was a relevant topic. I think it was necessary to discuss. Like, so while Minnie is an AI, Ruka is a robot. Right. Well, Minnie is an AI. Ruka is a robot. Damn, this one has 47 comments. People were really upset about the fucking censorship. They literally have AI robots controlling forklifts in warehouses. Yeah, man, that shit's so fucking dangerous. They literally, that's the thing like people don't realize about AI. It's like it's literally just there to replace people. It's literally being used by stupid corporations, because guess what? Oh, look, AI doesn't need paid time off. You have your family is sick? Well, fucking sucks. Like that's AI. They're like, oh, okay, it doesn't need paid time off. It's not going to ask me for extra pay. It's not going to want anything else from me. And I get to just make infinite fucking money. Fuck you. That's what AI is for. And people don't seem to realize it. You know, we're essentially paying for that shit, and they're fucking happy to take it, because guess what? It's going to take your job, right? They want it to take your job. But, you know, and they'll do that in whatever way possible. If it means like someone, you know, has to correct the AI constantly, so fucking be it. It's so fucking evil. My point was, Minnie doesn't know anything, so she's always going to give wrong answers. Yeah, the problem with the way you said it, is you're saying an AI not properly trained will always give wrong answers. This is a foundationally incorrect statement because there is no properly trained AI. That is not a thing. That's never going to happen. You're fundamentally mischaracterizing AI. That's why I don't like the statement, because the foundational nature of AI, regardless of whether it is trained correctly or not, it will always, it is literally designed like this, it will always try to validate what you already believe. It will always do this. It doesn't matter if it's trained correctly or not. It can literally have all the information. The problem is AI does not know how to utilize information, period. It literally only knows how to regurgitate back at you what you said to it. And Reiji captures that perfectly. It literally only knows how to regurgitate back at you what you said to it. Because guess what? What are you doing? You're giving it information. And you can give it the right information to get the answer you want. Are you seeing the problem? It will never, ever give you a correct answer. It will always give you the answer you want because you have to enter the correct prompt for it to say the thing you want it to say. But you can never get the correct answer unless you enter the correct prompt. Do you see the problem? You have to ask the right things, say the right things for it to say the correct answer to you. It is literally a yes man. It will always just tell you, yes, that is the answer. It cannot think for itself. That is the problem. That's why your statement is foundationally incorrect. AI will always just tell you exactly what you ask it. Never dig deeper. It'll never ask more questions. It'll never like understand what's going on clearly because it doesn't have a brain. It doesn't think, it doesn't process, it doesn't understand. It's not like a friend who will see past what you're asking. Like, you can ask a question, but you don't know what you're actually asking. A real person can look past that and be like, no, that's not what you're actually talking about. Like, this is what you want to know, right? Why are you fucking lying to me? Right? A real person can do that. AI can never do that. AI will always just tell you what you want to hear. That is the problem. Artificial intelligence is not intelligent in the first place. Yeah. It's not even artificial intelligence. It's not even actually like artificial intelligence. It's not actually artificial intelligence. Like, I think it's like, what the fuck do we even call it? It's literally not artificial intelligence. But yeah, that's pretty much Minnie. That's the whole point of Minnie's character. Is that she's literally like AI. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's just regurgitating back at you what you want to hear. She knows what you want to hear, and she says it back to you. The difference between her and an AI is she sounds incredibly convincing. But an AI can do this too. You enter the right prompts into an AI, like you did with Minnie, and you'll get this result. Right? You'll get this result where you're going to cry tears. And guess what? This is the brilliant part of this. I've mentioned this many times before. Kazuya says, what is rolling down my face? Are those tears rolling down my face? Minnie says, I only see diamonds. You want to know what's interesting about that phrasing? And I've said this for people who have been here before. They already know this. Chizuru's rental agency is called Diamond. These aren't tears, they're fake. Minnie calls them diamond, not seeing the irony of her words, because guess what? What Kazuya is crying is not real. He's literally crying over fictional things. It's like when you read it's like when you read something and you think it's the greatest thing ever, only to realize it wasn't even made by a person. You were literally just fed what you wanted to see. You were literally lied to. You were given exactly what you wanted to see. You were living a fucking lie. Like, I'm sorry, bro. AI should fucking disgust you. Like, it's literally, you're literally saying, I like this lie. AI has taken over the world. Oh, it hasn't really. It's like, ironically, the rich people have convinced you it has. The rich people have convinced you it has. But the thing is, if you look behind the scenes for even a modicum of a second, not a single AI company has made money. And the only reason they're staying afloat is because the government and these like corporations keep giving them money. But it is yet to pay off. They're actually in the fucking negatives. I'm not even kidding. A lot of these corporations are literally the only reason they're staying afloat is because they're buying from each other. They're literally like creating a loop and buying from each other, and that's how they're staying afloat. They're not actually making any fucking money. AI hasn't made any money. In fact, the prices for everything are going the fuck up because AI uses so much RAM that soon your phones, your PlayStations, your fucking Nintendos, literally everything, your computers, your PCs, your fucking like monitors, your goddamn TVs, everything is going to cost more soon. Literally, AI is not doing anything. It's actually just fucking everything over. Like, it's actually pretty fucked. Like, we're literally just losing a crap ton of money for no reason. Because some dipshits just want to make a thing that, like, you know, oh, free money, so I don't have to pay anybody. So I can just get more money. Money. If Minnie knows what she's doing, she would hate herself. Exactly. That's the setup for Minnie too. That's exactly the setup for Minnie too. Every single character is being set up for that position of just, if you know what you're doing, you would hate yourself. Every single fucking character. The only one in this position that is a little different is, I think, Mami, Kazuya's family, and maybe Kibe. Or no, I'd say Mami. Mami maybe is the only one, because Mami is just looking away from the part of herself she hates. Mami already hates herself. She's just not confronting that. She's just running away. And I think maybe in some ways when she chooses to talk to him, she'll realize Mami is locked in clearly. Fucking no. No. Bro, Mami is literally running away from the fact that she did horrendous shit. And that's the reason she's not telling Kazuya about it. What? Here's a question for you. Why has Mami not mentioned a single thing she did in Hawaiians? Very simple. If she did, he might hate her. It's that simple. If she mentions it, he might hate her. Mami doesn't want to confront her bad side. Mami doesn't want to confront her bad side. She's not locked in. She's anything but locked in. She's locked in, if you will. She's literally in a fucking jail of her own making, or her dad's making. She doesn't want to. Yeah. Well, a huge portion of this, where we are right now in the narrative, is characters not wanting to face themselves. So Kazuya doesn't want to face himself, which is why he's literally trying to change his exterior. Like, literally, he's trying to change how he looks. Minnie is not facing herself honestly. Mami is not facing herself honestly. Ruka is not facing herself honestly. Even Sumi, to some degree, is not facing herself honestly. Chizuru is a very interesting case. She is facing herself, but also not really. And what I mean by this is that Chizuru is trying so hard not to be like her mom that she's not accepting the fact that she feels desires too. And because of that, she doesn't realize that she is not like creating the proper foundation for the relationship with Kazuya. In so doing, she's essentially not facing herself. She's running away from her desires. So Chizuru is a little different from the other characters. She is facing herself. What she's not facing is her desires. Kazuya, in contrast, is just not facing himself, period. He's not being honest with himself at all, right? Chizuru knows she feels these desires. She's just afraid of being honest with them. Kazuya, in contrast, is literally bottling them in. Minnie is not facing herself. I think even Kazuya's like family isn't facing themselves. And it all connects to Hawaiians. Like, literally, it's all fucking trauma. It's all fucking trauma, you know? The only two that's facing themselves honestly is Kazuya's mom and his boss. His boss? No, Chizuru is facing herself. I think out of everyone, Chizuru is the one who's really facing herself. Kazuya's mom, I don't know. That's a weird one. I do think Chizuru is facing herself. She's just not facing her desires. And in some ways, she's not facing Kazuya. There's an irony to her words. She wants to face Kazuya, but she's not. Right? There's an irony in Chizuru's words. She wants to face Kazuya, but she's not. Why? All right. Her goal is to face Kazuya, but she's not. Whereas Kazuya needs to face himself, Ruka, Mami, Minnie, and even possibly Sumi. Every single character needs to face themselves in some way. So yeah, the setup is there. What else? What else? The story is about to completely change. Huh. So, listen to this part. This part is interesting. Ruka doesn't actually trust Kazuya and feel safe with him. That's why she isn't wearing her underwear. Kazuya, so remember how Ruka said she's wearing her swimsuit and she was too embarrassed to show to show him her underwear? Well, that actually shows she doesn't actually trust him. I wonder if Ruka's gonna plan something with Umi. She doesn't even know him. She literally doesn't even know him. I feel like they've never fucking spoken. Why? That's a weird take. I literally doesn't know who the fuck he is. She's like heard of him. She just knows he's an actor friend, but that's it. She doesn't actually know anything about Umi. Okay. So Ruka doesn't actually trust Kazuya and feel safe with him. That's why she isn't wearing her underwear, but a swimsuit. Kazuya is the same. He doesn't feel safe with her, so he doesn't live in his home comfortably. And we see this in the one chapter where Ruka is there. Like literally chapter 402, the opening page is literally Kazuya removing the list he made for Chizuru. Even though Ruka actually kind of already knew. This is contrasted by Chizuru and Kazuya in the shed. Chizuru is comfortable with Kazuya. She does trust him, but he's afraid Chizuru will hate him despite wishing to be accepted. This questions who is safe with who. I think Reiji is having Kazuya question who he feels safe with and who he doesn't feel safe with. Chizuru creates a safe space, whereas Ruka invades his space. Right. Kazuya's dream isn't about what he wants Chizuru to do to him. Okay, so this is a reference to 393. So if you guys remember, Kazuya's dream. Right. Chizuru comes in and kisses Kazuya. So I have a theory. I have a theory about this. Kazuya's dream isn't about what he wants Chizuru to do to him. It's actually about what he wants to do to Chizuru, about the monster underneath that he keeps hidden in the deep abyss of his dreams. The monster that scares him. The dream is a misdirection, much like Ruka was, much like Mami was, much like nearly every chapter until now has been a misdirection. Because its truth is, because the truth it speaks is genuinely terrifying. Oh my god! Because the truth it speaks of, because in truth, oh, I wrote it wrong. Because in truth, it speaks of the genuinely terrifying lust in one's heart. The lust we lock away in fear of what our desires may do, and it's the very same lust that Ruka has just let out. The monster underneath. Sexual assault is an important aspect of this series and what it discusses. Just as rental can be a dangerous job where people can try and abuse the workers, so too can men also be sexually assaulted like Kazuya was and not perceive it as such. You'll notice Ruka was fully facing Kazuya prior. In 402 and at the start of 403, Ruka fully looked at Kazuya, first with a smile, then with desperation. So I was noticing a pattern here. So look at how Ruka looks at Kazuya here, and it's cute, and it's a smile, and you think it's safe and comforting. Right? And she looks adorable and cute and innocent and like a rabbit, right? She's so cute and protective. And then this happens, right? And suddenly you don't see her face anymore. And look at how she looks at him here. Ruka fully looked at Kazuya, first with a smile, then with desperation. And then she stopped looking at him. She started looking at his back. Right? She stopped looking at him. She didn't even see him anymore. And now she doesn't fully face him anymore. No desperation, no smile, right? So now where are we at here? She doesn't even fully face him anymore. No desperation, no smile, just emptiness. In contrast, Kazuya was not facing Ruka before. He only turned to face her. He ran from her. Now the roles swapped. Let's see, now the roles swapped. Kazuya fully faces Ruka, while Ruka is half facing him, but looking at him. Notice where they're positioned, right? Where was Ruka at the start of this arc? Where was Ruka standing at the start of this arc? This is where she was standing. Where was Kazuya? This is where he was. They swapped places. Now you're seeing who's actually in control. This isn't Kazuya's house. This is Ruka's house, disguised as Kazuya's house, right? This is what it should have looked like from the start. This is what it was supposed to look like from the very, very beginning. Now it actually looks accurate, right? Because when we were first seeing it, this is what it looked like. Right? Ruka crouches down below him. Right? Ruka crouches down below him. Ruka is under Kazuya. She's below him. He's higher than her. He's in control. This is his house. No. She was always in control. She may be shorter than him, but she is the one in the center of the room. He is in the hallway. She was always in control. She doesn't pay the bills, sure, but this is her fucking house. She's in control. Let's see. While Ruka is half facing him, but looking at him, Kazuya no longer runs, and Ruka merely waits, ready to see the truth for what it is. Even if she does not wish to look. She will. She is not in denial anymore, nor is she bargaining. She's just aware. Noticing something Kazuya tried to hide, right? Oh, I know a guy can't go right away, right? So what did she notice here? She noticed that Kazuya nut his pants. Not that she's correct about this, right? It's not that this statement is correct. She just noticed Kazuya nut. That's it, right? She's aware, noticing something Kazuya tried to hide. She's keenly aware of her surroundings and her circumstances, even if she does not like it. Both of them are done running. It's time. It's time to see the truth. Ruka feels robotic in these scenes, almost like she's following the motions. Like this was all but inevitable, which is true, as a pattern of Ruka's actions was not only there, but Ruka herself was already getting closer to Kazuya making the result of desiring sexual intercourse. All the let's see here. This is okay. There we go. I think I fixed it, but where'd it go? There we go. pattern of Ruka's actions was not only there, but Ruka herself was already getting closer to Kazuya, making the result of her desiring sexual intercourse all the more expected. So this is another thing I wanted to point out. There's a pattern with Chizuru, and there's a pattern with Ruka. And I'm going to show you the pattern with Chizuru. Kazuya actually lays it out for us. So I'm going to pull it up really quick. So Kazuya lays out the pattern for us here. With Chizuru, with the shed incident, which parallels this incident, he says, at first, she kicked him away. Then she just asked him to move. He missed one, though. What Kazuya doesn't realize is he missed one. He says, now she tells me she tells me you can lean on me. But Kazuya actually missed one. The one he missed is this one. Right? So if they fell on top of each other again, and she tells him, wait. So it was actually, get off, move, wait, you can lean on me. Okay, so you had a pattern with Chizuru. Ruka is the same thing. You had a pattern with Ruka. Ruka at first tells Kazuya, I want to have sex, right? She tells him, you can have sex with me. Then she comes over to his place and she tells him, what does she say? She says, you must not like me physically. Kazuya tells her, no, I do think you're very attractive, but I don't love you. Then she kisses him, right? She forcibly kisses him. Then they have a little break, and then she forcibly kisses him again. Then afterwards, she starts touching him a whole bunch, right? So the Ruka events and the Chizuru events are completely reversed, right? Whereas Chizuru slowly gets closer to him and starts letting him in, seemingly. Ruka, in contrast, is forcibly getting more and more and more physical with him, right? So at first, it was just cornering him in a room, then touching his back, then kissing him more, then physically touching him constantly, and now inevitably sexually assaulting him straight up. Right? It all came full circle. So just as the events with Chizuru had a pattern you could follow, so too did these events also have a pattern, right? I can't help but think she kicked me away just because I came close way back then, but now she doesn't push me away and even lets me lean on her. I feel like that means something, and it just doesn't stop. Even as we sit here like this, my heart continues to race. Right? Look at him. He's sweating just like before. Okay. Faye, that encounter between Kazi and Umi at the karaoke bar is going to appear as a flashback for him, my prediction. I don't think so. Like if it does, sure. But it feels like it hasn't happened. It feels like it hasn't happened. Like that's I don't get it. It feels like it hasn't happened. Now time is moving weird. But that's the interesting part. I think Reiji is using that idea of like time moves weird for us when we're all feeling different things. So in a sense, we're all like time travelers, if you think about it. Like literally, if you think about it, we're technically all time travelers because time moves differently for each one of us, depending on how we're feeling, what we're going through, where our emotions are. And that's pretty much what we're seeing with Chizuru. She's literally seemingly time traveling. Right? She's literally missing her stops. She's ending up in the wrong places. Kazuya seemingly, like literally, we somehow ended up 2 weeks after the kiss, and that just magically fucking happened. Things are like moving really fast, or time just feels like it's moving weird. And then Reiji even references a lot of time travel stuff. So to me, it's like, oh no, time travel is definitely a thing here, right? And the time traveling is happening through emotions. right? And you can literally see a time travel incident where the 3 months time skip happened, and for us it was literally instantaneous. It was literally a fucking page turn. For the characters, it was literally 3 fucking months, right? Three fucking months just fucking happened like that, right? So the time traveling is definitely an element here. The characters are literally time traveling, and I think that's an aspect Reishi is definitely discussing. Now, whether the Umi thing did happen in the background, I don't fucking know. Right? That'd be kind of weird. Just like, oh yeah, that did happen in the background. You're like, what the fuck? How that fuck that happen? I feel like Umi would do anything to get between Chizuru and Kazuya, but Ruka did mention she can't come between. But that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing about Umi. He's literally never gotten in between them. He's literally never gotten in between them. In fact, every time Umi shows up, they get closer. Umi has literally never gotten in between them. That's literally never fucking happened. Like, yeah, he looks like he does. Umi looks like he does, but that's literally never happened. If Umi actually, and this is the thing, this is where your argument falls apart. If Umi really did want to do this, he had 3 fucking months. 3 fucking months. He didn't do anything. Why? Now, a lot of people immediately would turn to bad writing. But no, it doesn't fucking add up. It's almost like what Umi's doing isn't actually real. Like, he's not actually trying to get between them. That's not what was happening at all to begin with. And Umi is not how he appears. Whereas Ruka definitely is. Ruka is exactly what she appears. We just have to see her more honestly. So that's why that doesn't really add up to me, you know? That doesn't click. Doesn't feel right. Okay. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I talked to Varicus briefly about that chapter with the shed incident. I'm kind of getting tired, so I might call it for today. I think we can maybe continue this on Tuesday. I'll stream again on Tuesday. I have the day off, so we can continue talking more about this. So I have Sunday and Monday. I'll probably try to use those days to get like a video out of some sorts. Tomorrow I have a closing shift, so oh well, I get off at 6 actually, so that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. So maybe I'll have some time to do some extra work tomorrow. When are you gonna upload the analysis of 404 and 405? Oh, you got me there. Oh, you got me there, buddy. You mean on Twitter, right? You mean on Twitter, right? Yeah. You're not wrong. I guess I could read some of what I wrote. I'll just read some of what I wrote so far. So I had a lot of interpretations of. I had a lot of interpretations of 404. At first, I interpreted it as the end of love. Later, I started interpreting it as more of like the dark side of love, where this is like when love is defined by lust. This is like when you lose control of love and it becomes defined by lust. And it's not really love anymore. And I think I'm starting to lean towards more. This isn't really love anymore. This is like it's not like would you call what Ruka is doing now a form of love in some way? Because love can be negative. this is definitely related to love, but it's also clearly driven by lust. So I'm really, I'm really fascinated. You know, like I think what Ruka is experiencing is a form of love, but love can be bad. Love can be toxic. You know, it can be negative. One-sided love, I guess. I, I see. I feel like this isn't simply one-sided love. It's like the dark side of love, where it's like all the negative traits of love, because love does have negative traits. You know, it does have a lot of negative traits, and when you ignore them long enough, they fester and they grow and become really destructive. You can be far too in love with something for your own good. That doesn't necessarily mean it's purely one-sided. Like Ruka's love isn't just one-sided, it's controlling. It's oppressive. It's not just one-sided, it's like it like yeah, I guess that fits the definition of one-sided, but it's like it takes your choice away. You know, one-sided love can be like, okay, you love the person, they don't love you, right? And that's kind of Kazi and Ruka's relationship, sure. But I think like a more controlling, oppressive love like Ruka's, it's like it's not one-sided. It literally doesn't give a shit about what you think. Like your opinion has seemingly vanished from the picture. That's why I'm like kind of trying to refer to this as maybe more so the dark side of love. You know, the other half, the bad side that we don't want to talk about, the side that that like you can lose control of and it becomes very oppressive and toxic. So I tried. So one of the reasons I was struggling with like an opening for 40, so one of the reasons I was struggling with 404 is because there's a lot I wanted to talk about and I didn't know how I wanted to write it. I literally didn't know how I wanted to write it. Like I let me check. I like had a I had a draft. Let me see. Okay, so the draft is just on my phone, I guess. Oops. I'll have to look at it later. But for 404, I had a few ways I wanted to approach it. In particular, I wanted to talk about like the utilization of like expectations and perceptions. So like one sentence I had was the work betrays expectations purposefully so. Even so, the characters, even to the characters, even to Ruka in the end. So pretty much like we're all just being. Is Chizuru an Orthodox tsundere? You're fucking kidding. You're fucking kidding. But seriously, sir, does Chizuru look like a traditional tsundere? No, not even a little bit. At best, Chizuru is a deconstruction of a tsundere. At best, Chizuru is a deconstruction of a tsundere. Where Chizuru essentially questions, like her character essentially questions, like, okay, what even is a tsundere? Like, what's a tsundere exactly? Is it just they get jealous? Because everybody gets jealous. Is it the fact that they're physical? They get upset? Is it the fact that they hide their emotions? Right? And each one of those aspects is explored in Chizuru. Like when Chizuru slaps the shit out of Kazuya, it's completely fucking valid. It's not because of like some stupid fucking reason. She slaps him for completely valid reasons. Like, oh bro, what the fuck are you doing? Um when it comes to Chizuru like bottling in her emotions, literally a huge part of that has to do with her trauma. A huge part of that has to do with acceptance and talking to people. A huge part of that has to do with how she compartmentalizes her life into like multiple different pieces. Chizuru is not a traditional tsundere. If anything, Chizuru has more traits of a kudere. Because what do kuderes do? Kuderes appear emotionless. What does Chizuru do a lot? Chizuru often appears very emotionless. If anything, Chizuru has more masculine traits than she does a tsundere. Or she's like tsunderes can appear masculine, unabashedly loud, except who's more unabashedly loud here? Ruka. Ruka is the unabashedly loud character. And yet Ruka, interestingly, has more traits of a yandere. Ruka actually has more traits of a yandere. Where what Ruka does is pretty much yandere shit. Yet most people, who do they characterize as a yandere? Mami. Whereas Mami is ironically more accurate to a tsundere. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Mami is more of a tsundere. Because yeah, she gets like murder, death, kill mode. But most of the time, she's getting upset because she's bottling her emotions in. Whereas Ruka is actually straight up obsessed with Kazuya. Mami kind of has an obsession. Right? And I would say maybe like in Hawaiians, Mami's more of a yandere. But Ruka is full-blown yandere. Whereas Chizuru deconstructs tsunderes and has kudere traits and even questions what like appeals as a feminine character. You know? Whereas Kazuya is more of a deconstruction of the traditional male characters in these kinds of stories. And like how that works. Sumi is also a deconstruction of what are they called? What are they? I think it's Dandere. I think Sumi is like a deconstruction of a Dandere. And then Ruka is also a deconstruction of the secondary girl in the romance. Chizuru is many things, but she's not a tsundere or a gyaru. There is no gyaru in this series. Those are like two completely different things. Do you know what a gyaru is? Because there isn't one in this series. There literally is not one in this series. We don't have one. Like that doesn't exist in this story. No character even comes close to a gyaru. And Chizuru is definitely not a tsundere, so that's a weird one. When it comes to love, there's a tendency to separate it from negatives, the bad stuff. One such separation is lust. We wish to say lust is not part of love, but in truth, it is. These chapters are not devoid of love. They are chapters about the dark side of love. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I was half asleep when I wrote that. Hey man, I'm getting pretty sleepy too. That's why I'm not discussing nearly as much as I want to. I may have started a little too late. I get sleepy around 8 o'clock. So that's what time it is right now. It's because usually I go to sleep around 8 because I got to get up super early. Tomorrow I don't have to get up early. My shift starts at 12:30, but I'm so used to sleeping around this time that I'm already getting sleepy. So yeah, screw me, I guess. Granted, we're not doing too much right now. The views aren't bad though. I will say it's kind of nice that our views have been getting to about 300 or so, like when it's normal viewing time consistently. So that's good. So like whenever I do streams, like just unannounced streams, it seems like we're getting to about 300 views in like 3 hours, which is pretty decent. That's pretty good. Yeah, we didn't have like a crazy amount of people when we were watching the Game Awards, but it ended up pretty solid too. Speaking of the Game Awards, I did like figure out my feelings a little better in regards to the Game Awards. I think I posted it on Twitter. Nobody really saw it, but I think I kind of get why I didn't like it. It's because the Game Awards really didn't celebrate games. It was more so just advertisement for new games and, oh, look, Expedition 33 won. My issue wasn't Expedition 33 winning because Expedition 33 is peak as fuck. My issue was that literally no other game got the time to fucking shine. And it's like, okay, but you need to find a balance between competition and like celebrating video games, because that's the point of you. It's to celebrate video games, you know? And I think some categories Expedition 33 just did not belong in, and they needed to rewrite how they did the categories. Because the categories, like, Expedition 33 was in fucking everything. Like, okay, so here's problem one. What even is an RPG? Right? What even is an RPG? Because some stuff doesn't even fit in that category. And then, let's say, what is an action-adventure game? Well, an action-adventure game can also theoretically be an RPG. So do you see the issues with how they're labeling these categories? They're too linear, they're too outdated, and Expedition 33 fits in both. So naturally, it fucking won both. And a bunch of games got fucking robbed. And it's like, okay, I genuinely think Expedition 33 was, in fact, Game of the Year. Yeah, let's not get that wrong. That game was fucking insane. They did some amazing stuff. But there's just... the way they handled it was just not good. The way they handled it was just not good. None of these other games got even remotely mentioned or celebrated. And this game was full of fantastic fucking games. You know? Like, that's why I was getting so upset at, like, Silent Hill F getting fucking nothing. Because it genuinely was a good fucking game. Like, it's actually genuinely amazing. That's why I was getting bothered, but like Donkey Kong didn't fucking get anything. Donkey Kong is like a fucking step forward in like video games. That's how impressive it is as a fucking video game. It didn't get jack shit. It didn't even get mentioned. It literally, all it got was one fucking song. All it got was like, literally, oh yeah, Donkey Kong, and here's this part where the lady from the fucking music comes in and sings a little bit, and here you go, that's it. That shit was stupid as fuck to me. I'm sorry. Like, so my issue is the Game Awards, not what won. My issue is not what won, because by that point, like literally by the point we got to Game of the Year, we're just like, bro, just get it over with. We know what it is. Just get it over with. We know what the fuck it is. It doesn't matter. And that's so disappointing. You shouldn't feel that way. That to me is a sign of a poorly structured show. That to me is a sign of a poorly structured show, where the things they put and where they put them were just not good. You know? And I think no better example highlights that than where they put Resident Evil and the stuff that came after it. Because the stuff that came after Resident Evil, I'm sorry, nobody, like, I couldn't appreciate that. I was in Resident Evil mode. I was like, this shit is hype as fuck. Leon goddamn S. Kennedy is back. This dude is suplexing people. This dude is fucking cutting motherfuckers in half with a goddamn chainsaw. That shit's sick as fuck. And then they show me this like stupid puzzle game. And I'm like, I can't appreciate this. If you'd show me this prior, I could have appreciated it. If anything, I feel like Resident Evil should have been like the last thing. The last thing they showed, that fucking hero game, was just been there, done that. It was just been there, done that. I don't give a shit. Which is quite ironic, considering Expedition 33 won. Because it won everything else, so when you get to the Game of the Year, you're just like, okay, been there, done that. Like, so that's the issue I have with the show. It made me not appreciate a fantastic fucking game. It made me not appreciate a fantastic fucking game because of how it was goddamn structured. Like, and that sucks. I really, I should have wanted to celebrate this more. I should have wanted to celebrate this more. Instead, they made me not want to. And that blows, you know? That really fucking sucks. So, yeah, go play Expedition 33. It's peak as fuck. I just think the Game Awards and the way it handled the show was just not good. That's just how I feel. Like, I saw other people describing it on Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, that's what it was. That's why I felt the way that I did. Okay, now I understand. Like, I couldn't piece it together. I couldn't figure out, and I was so frustrated that I felt that way. Did you see that Leon has the black rash on his neck and gloves? You know what that means? Oh, yeah, no, Leon's fucking infected. Who are we kidding, bro? Leon is fucking infected, dude. Like, we've never seen Leon fully cloaked up like he is. And that's a sign. Leon doesn't get fucking cloaked up. He looks like he looks like he has like his posture's getting shit. He looks a little he looks a little like drained a little bit. Like, he doesn't look very good. So it's not just age. I like, and the fact that, like, you know, they're like, okay, we're returning to Raccoon City. this is the thing. I'm just like, oh, Leon, is this like the end of Leon's story? Like, are they gonna just like fucking kill him off? Is this the end of Leon's story? Is they're either gonna like kill him off, he's gonna retire, or he's gonna have some like climactic ending. Like the fact that he's going back to Raccoon City, the fact that they're like, we're gonna resolve this big thing that's been sitting here for a while. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a whole bunch of other characters come back. Like Jill definitely needs to come back. Chris is probably gonna come back. I really would not be surprised if they bring back a whole bunch of characters. Like, at the very least, Jill. Or maybe even Claire. You know, I think a lot of characters feel like they should come back, including maybe Ada. Yeah, including Ada. Rebecca Chambers, that too. Yeah, Rebecca too could, like, probably, like, fucking make a vaccine or some shit. I don't fucking know. But yeah, like literally, it feels like this is like supposed to be like the end and the beginning of Resident Evil. Like they're like, okay, we're gonna end because it really feels like this game is like, okay, we're gonna go back to our roots like completely, and in so doing, we're gonna like start completely fresh. We're gonna resolve this thing that's been like kind of sitting down for a while. We haven't properly given it a true resolution, and once it ends, we're gonna start a new Resident Evil. Do you like the Resident Evil movies, Fate? Be specific. Do you mean the animated films or the live action films? Be specific. Which ones? Do you want me to talk about both? Because I've seen all of them. I've seen all of them. Live actions. Okay. First live action, pretty decent, has some issues. Everything after is kind of a total fucking mess. They have some good moments, and they have a lot of stupid fucking moments. I don't like that it turned into some stupid fan fiction. Okay, I watched almost all of them in theaters. Almost all of them. I watched like 3, 4, and 5 in theaters. I think. They had some cool moments, but most of them were dumb. I think the first one is like the best one. Because it actually feels like a Resident Evil story, and it like uses and subverts and plays with a lot of tropes. The second one was dumb as fuck because they're like, oh, we're gonna introduce Jill, and oh, hey, look at what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make Jill the lead badass female character, and then I'm gonna reintroduce Alice into the story and have them fight over who's the lead badass female character. But naturally, it's gonna be Alice because Alice matters so much fucking more. Because of course she does. She's the fucking spinoff character, or she's my self insert, whatever the fuck we want to call her at this point. The animated films, in contrast, are like stupid, goofy fun, but not amazingly written. I think the first two are not well written. And then the ones after that, like, are more interesting, but they're still not well written. They're just more fun to watch. But yeah, the live action movies are I feel like they're fun to watch with a group. It also doesn't help that like actual people died on set with those fucking movies, the live action ones. Like actual people fucking died on set. And that like really sours my enjoyment of the films, like even if they're fucking trash. I don't like that like actual fucking people died and got hurt and whatever fucking happened with that shit. So that's just stuff like I don't like about the live actions. I remember at the end of Village where Chris said we have to invade Blue Umbrella. I think RE9 ends with Chris recruiting Leon, and he agrees, saying something cheesy like "This nightmare needs to end." Bro, I hope not. I think whatever they set up for Village is gonna come full circle in this one. Makes a little too much sense. And get every single playable character that's still alive, which is most of them, and have one grand finale. No. That seems a little too much. Anyways, I'm a little tired, so I'm gonna call it here. I'll continue streaming at another time. I'm gonna take Sunday and Monday to do some stuff. I'll probably try to post on Twitter too, because I've still yet to post any analysis for 405 on Twitter, and I definitely want to. So yeah, thank you guys for watching today. I hope it was fun. And I hope it was entertaining for y'all. I'm a little tired right now. I'm gonna get some sleep, get some rest, and then we'll keep going. We'll keep going. All right. Take care. Have a good night. See y'all later.